You're listening to the Tumbling Saber Podcast, a member of the Star Wars Commonwealth Podcast Network. Check us out on the web at starwarscommonwealth.com, on iTunes, Facebook, and Twitter, and take your first step into a larger world. Hey everyone, welcome to episode 84 of the Tumbling Saber Podcast. My name's Kyle.
I'm Corey.
And I'm James.
Hey James, we missed you last week, man. How you doing? How was the old golf trip?
The golf trip was pretty fantastic. Man, what a course. Championship mountain course. Like as tough as you could possibly want, but still incredibly fun. We had a really good time.
Nice, that sounds
Awesome.
relaxing.
That was good, man. Good group, like the perfect group of guys, all my good buddies. 2 nights, 3 days of just 36 holes a day, 3 days in a row. It was all you could want.
Oof.
This wasn't the Beagle.
No, a little warm up for the Beagle.
Nice. Are you prepping a song for this year?
I keep saying no. And then every day I find myself with like a few more lyrics written down somewhere here or there. Not officially on any list, but like a little post-it note or... So I don't know. We'll see.
And this is the one that goes live this year, right? If it's done, there's no video.
That is a possibility.
Well, I'm glad you're back, man. We missed you last week for sure.
I miss doing it. It's always weird if like ever we don't record on scheduled night or like I have to miss a week. It's weird. It's part of my like DNA now.
Yeah, it's become this addictive, fun thing. It's kind of weird.
It is
Yep.
true.
Love it.
This
Missed
is
you
true.
guys. Missed the feed. Like, and my Twitter feed is like, much colder this week because whatever, I wasn't involved and I didn't put anything out there really, and so like the whole thing has a trickle effect on making the whole week dull.
It's really funny how this, for us, this is relatively new, but for podcasting as a whole is still not that old a thing. But, go back 10 years and all of this was all of it. Facebook, Twitter, podcasting, no idea. And look how our day-to-day has just completely been upended by this stuff. At least for me.
No, it's true, man. I seriously feel like, when you took the reins on this thing, Kyle, I was kind of actually, first of all, I was really surprised. And then I was like, listening and got to get in on this, anyway, I'm glad you did it, man, because it's been so fun. So many cool people.
Oh, absolutely. That's the best part. Oh, man. Okay, so we have a couple of big birthdays. We had Mark over at Talk Star Wars, and he had a big birthday this weekend. It's actually right now, today.
Yeah.
It hasn't expired for us yet.
Yeah,
So
the Admiral himself.
We can still say happy birthday, Mark, but by the time he hears this, it will be a happy belated birthday. And also a happy belated birthday to the one and only Stubaka. And we've got something here for Stubaka that he might enjoy. It's a little, is it telegram, songogram?
Serenadopod.
What do we call this? A serenadagram.
Serenadopod.
One
There you
step too
go.
far, Corey.
Serenadopod. Did Corey already name the show?
No, I got a good one. I actually wrote down.
Yeah, but this is good. Serenadopod is good.
It is pretty good.
All right, so Stubaka, put your feet up. Enjoy the next few seconds of this.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Stubaka. Happy birthday to you.
There you go, Mr. Stubaka. Happy belated birthday. That from the one and only Bradley W. Hall down in Texas.
That was awesome.
That was awesome, man. I can't sing like that.
I think first of all,
With or without the accent.
Stubaka and Bradley have a special thing, man.
sweeter than a
romance going on.
canary song, and someone should ID that guy because as sweet as that song was, where's the Texas accent? I didn't hear it. Did you guys pick it up? I think he's an imposter.
I definitely caught it. I'd say everything's obviously very much bigger in Texas, it seems.
Not his accent. That's a tiny accent, but maybe that's just my ear.
Well, don't
my
you
ear
find
that's missing.
accents, no matter what, like accents sort of fade away in song?
Yeah, often that's true.
There's an Australian singer. Is Chantal Kreviazuk Australian? Or man, no, I'm thinking of someone else completely. I'm gonna Google her right now. I have a feeling.
Isn't Chantal from Quebec?
No, you're right. I'm thinking of somebody else.
Are you thinking of?
Oh, it's not gonna come to me.
Oh, I know. Ooh. What's her name? Oh, that's gonna bug me.
You guys are
Oh.
horrible.
It's bugging me right
You
now.
guys are so horrible. Just edit this out.
Natalie Imbruglia.
That is who I knew who it was.
That's what I was thinking of.
Yeah.
Natalie Imbruglia. Like, she doesn't sound Australian when she sings.
No, that's true. Because she's an imposter too, like Madonna.
How is Madonna an imposter?
Because she sounds British and she's from here. Imposter.
Remember when everybody thought Green Day was British?
Remember when everybody thought AC/DC was American?
That's true. Sometimes the accents fade away, and sometimes you take on a completely different one.
Yeah.
Anything else notable happen this weekend? Corey, did you pick up any collectibles that you want to share?
Hey, before we move on, I didn't get to say it. Happy birthday, guys, to both Mark and Stubaka. And that was a great rendition, Bradley. So well done.
Yeah. Like Stubaka had a good weekend too, like posting on Twitter, like he had the maple syrup, he got the toys, he got the Star Wars identity. I think he had quite an awesome birthday. Yeah, happy birthday to both of you.
Yeah, he found himself a Radis figure.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That would have been enough for me right there.
Dude, you had it in your hand. You fool.
I know. Oh, it's my own fault, but I honestly had no idea. If I knew that he was hard to find, I would have bought all of them on the spot, and you would have had one. Tim would have had one. Everybody would have got one. I would have been the Oprah Winfrey of Radis figures.
I appreciate
You
the
get a
sentiment.
Radis. You get a Radis.
You should have known, Kyle. I'm
Yeah,
pretty
okay.
disappointed in you there. But anyway,
Yeah.
I checked out Spider-Man: Homecoming on Friday night with my wife.
And?
It was good. I liked it. I liked it a lot. Different. I'm probably gonna go see it again.
I don't like the sound of that.
No, it was good. I mean, I'm not. I had really high expectations after everything that I had heard. I guess I kind of let myself get a little too pumped up, maybe. But definitely super good. I really, really liked it. Like, I'm looking forward to see what they're gonna do moving forward. I like the movie.
So at worst, the worst criticism I've heard of it is that it's the best Spider-Man movie, and the highest praise I've heard of it is that it's the best Marvel movie. I've heard plenty of both.
It's
Wow.
definitely worth seeing. There's some good twists in there that you're like, ooh, my.
But I mean, come on, you can tell that Tom Holland is a better Spider-Man than either Tobey Maguire or Andrew Garfield from his little glorified cameo in Civil War. You can already tell he's better.
Yeah, it's not only that, it's the style, right? Like, just the quippy Spider-Man, when he's Spider-Man, he's so happy-go-lucky, like.
He should be, and
And
making
Tobey-
jokes as he fights. That's like what we love about him.
Yeah, exactly.
There was not nearly enough of that definitely in the Tobey Maguire trilogy.
No, not at all.
No, he was like he was almost an emo Spider-Man, which I guess at the time was kind of fitting, but like, I don't know, Spider-Man was supposed to be a little more upbeat.
Yeah, by part
It was supposed
three,
to be more fun.
By part 3 there, I was like, I had the eye roll moment during that dance scene.
Oh, that was horrendous. Absolutely horrendous. I don't know which dance scene is worse, that or Mr. Fantastic.
That's tough.
Because they are both extremely bad.
I'm gonna go
like,
ahead and
those
give
are
it
low
to
point
Patrick
moments.
Swayze and Baby at the end of that movie.
Dude, come on.
I thought
So
Corey,
you
I thought
gonna say
Corey
something?
would
You
bite.
gonna finish
Yeah,
that
I was
thought,
sure
Corey?
Corey would bite. No, nothing.
Oh, well, just don't put Baby in a corner.
Thank you, Corey.
All right. Dude, come on. The Sways. My boy, the Bodhisattva.
Nobody wants to weigh in on worst Marvel movie dance, Mr. Fantastic or Spider-Man. Come on, that's a big battle royale there.
Oh, they're both such shit shows.
Spider-Man.
We shouldn't. Yeah, Spider-Man was. I cringed.
Cringeworthy.
Cause like Spider-Man's my boy, right? So it's like
Swayze's your boy. How many boys you got?
all kinds, bro. Come on, Jimmy. Jesus.
Who's Jimmy? I tell you what, Jimmy's not your boy.
Oh man, you know how crappy my weekend was? As productive as it was, I was at IKEA twice.
Ugh. Is that because you took a wrong turn, thought you left, but then you were back inside IKEA?
I actually never left.
I feel your pain.
I just woke up the next day and I was still there. No. We had to make a second return trip.
Of course you did. Nothing ever happens in one trip.
Awful, just awful. And the dollar breakfast is gone.
Thanks,
The
Corey.
only good reason to even think about going is to head there early on a weekend, sneak in before the crowd, but at least get a dollar breakfast. And it was a crap breakfast, but it was $1. Even that's gone. It's like $3 now. But they give you a slice of tomato, as if that helps. But I did have they also have a goat cheese omelet. And I swear, it looked like a rubber duck.
Oh.
It had the texture of one, too. It was... Anyway, it's IKEA food. What do you want?
Dude, that's giving me like the craziest like mental image right now. The IKEA
Oh, it was
rubber
weird.
duck omelet.
It was so weird. It was like a stiff yet semi-pliable piece of egg. Like you could just pick it up and hold it out and it wouldn't just like fall apart like you would think an egg would.
Does the rubber duck omelet
It had
come with
rigidity to it.
toast or Quackers?
Jesus Christ.
Well, thank you everybody for listening to episode 84 of the Tumbling Saber podcast. James is at Tommy Bombadil 1. Oh, God. I'm going to rewind this whole bit.
I couldn't help it.
Just quickly before we get into the news and all that stuff, guys.
There's news?
This week, I think there was 2 things that might have dropped. I'm not 100% sure, but I looked at the show notes late, but it looks like there was some good stuff to talk about, I think.
All right.
But just before that,
we'll scrape.
I can't believe this. Like, I sent you guys a message there. I found the Lando 6-inch black figure, and it was already marked down to half price. Like, it literally just hit the shelves. Like, wasn't that supposed to be a part of the line for Force Friday packed with like Hera and Imperial Guard?
I thought so. That's the impression I had, but clearly not.
You should have bought them up, Corey. Maybe it was just a mistake at that one store.
Well, there was.
I wouldn't be surprised. Honestly, if some Landos got out early, and because Walmart's and Toys R Us are blowing out their Rogue One and remaining the Force Awakens merchandise to make room for The Last Jedi. So Lando might be half price now, but I bet in a couple months he won't be.
Yeah, it's so odd. They definitely goofed it up, and they also had the new Tusken Raider as well, which I'm not really interested in. But
you should have bought them.
No.
You'll be mad later when everybody's like, "Oh man, the only thing I can't get."
You know what I'm gonna buy though? They had the same stores too. Like they had remember the 1990s Cyclops that you were talking about with the blue outfit with the yellow belt, and they also had 90s Colossus as well. Oh man, I gotta snatch those up, bro. And Old Man Logan, or Old Man.
I hope you miss out so I can just rub it in.
I'm lucky though. Like that Lando. I was at Comic-Con just not a week ago, right? Had I seen that there, I probably would have splurged like the $40.
You would have paid $30 for it, yeah.
Between 30 and 40, probably I would have went. I would have went to 40, not 50, but I didn't see it anywhere. Anyhow, lucked out.
All right, so at long last, we can get into the Star Wars news, and D23 is now in the rearview mirror, but it did leave behind some pretty cool stuff in its wake. We'll build our way up to the crown jewel, which is the behind the scenes reel. We'll start with a closer look at Star Wars Land, which is no longer called Star Wars Land. We can now call it what it is: Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. Man, oh man, doesn't this place look unbelievable.
The place looks amazing.
Unbelievable.
I like Star
It
Wars
is
Land
so
better.
Holy cow.
I like
Like, this has
Galaxy's
gotta be-
Edge.
this is-
It points more to like a pioneer. Like I was kind of saying that it should be somewhere near the outer rim, right? That would be so cool.
Regardless of name, the place
well-
looks amazing. That hotel, the pictures from inside the hotel,
Yeah, they look astounding.
incredible.
The whole thing, top to bottom, just looks so top notch. Anyway, Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. It sounds like it's going to be like a full immersion Westworld type thing. I mean, this is next level stuff, man. And they said it takes place at a remote trading port on the edge of wild space. So does that count as Outer Rim? I don't know. So I'll read the description, part of it anyway, from StarWars.com. One attraction, the biggest in scale ever at Disney parks, will make you feel like you're in the hangar of a Star Destroyer. The second attraction will have you in the cockpit of the Millennium Falcon, piloting the ship, shooting blasters, and getting ready to make the jump to lightspeed. Your performance in the adventure will have repercussions. Do well and you'll earn extra credits. Dent the iconic ship, and you can end up on a bounty hunter's list. Star Wars Galaxy's Edge will also feature several Star Wars characters including BB-8, Chewbacca, First Order officers, and many more. A well-known Disney Parks droid is heading for Star Wars Galaxy's Edge as well. Rex, the pilot from Star Tours, will be the DJ at the cantina, where you'll order blue milk and other galactic concoctions. This is so cool, man.
This is too cool. Like, I'm just, the main thing that's kind of bothering me right now is that I saw a tweet probably about maybe 10 minutes before recording about cost. And I'm like,
Oh, it's going to be astronomical, dude.
yeah, I heard something like, okay, if you want to stay at the park, okay, I don't know, this might be blown up, but either way, family of 4 at the park for 2 nights, you're looking at around $2,500 US. Like,
I thought it would actually be more than that.
For
Not
2
that I'm
nights?
saying it's cheap. Oh yeah. For that whole experience, 2 nights, I am not shocked at all. I thought it would actually be more like $1,000 a person per day,
it depends how immersive it is, because
and it's gonna sell.
of course it will, dude. Like, I want to go no matter what. This is 100% like top of my bucket list now. Like, this just made its way close to the very top. I like the whole immersive.
No doubt.
The immersive experience thing is really interesting. Like, I was a huge fan of Westworld. That's such a cool show, and I want to see how far they can take it in this thing. You know, like, it's interesting that they're going that route.
Oh, it totally is. I mean, you can also visit as a regular tourist, just bring your Nikon with you and just take pictures and just enjoy the sights and sounds and watching other people freak out over their adventure experience. But like, after knowing what you could be experiencing, who would want to go just to hang out?
Oh yeah, come on. They probably get you all suited up and everything, you know? Like, you'd probably have your own Star Wars garb or wardrobe. Well, you get one piece only, so choose wisely.
Well, if you stay, they're also building a Star Wars themed hotel, which I don't know if it's connected to this immersive game, but even the hotel is going to feel like you're part of the Star Wars galaxy, in which they do suit you up and treat you like you're part of the galaxy far, far away. I mean, just to wrap it all up. But who the hell would want to just go and just take pictures and hang out? Like,
Yeah,
that'll probably end up being what I have to do, because the sticker price is a little steep. Holy Lord, that just sounds out of this world.
that's something that's worth saving a year or two more for. You know what I mean? Be patient.
Yeah, if you're gonna do it, you might as well do it to the best you can. I mean, I know what Kyle means. I may never be able to afford to take the family there for a week, but if it means waiting a year to go for a night or two, yeah, I think that's worth doing.
I don't know if this sounds selfish of me so much, but I don't know so much if I guess my son's maybe a little older.
If you're wondering if it's selfish, it probably is.
Well, I don't want to go maybe you guys, some friends, like, don't necessarily have to do everything with my family, you know what I mean? Like, granted, it is a lot of money, but
I don't have to do everything with my family.
it's true, man. Come on now.
Well, I wonder if you could do the immersive experience with your family, or is it just no? We can't manage like 3 of you as part of as part of the story. Like
No.
each of you can't get a story as part of this. Like it would end up breaking you up. Like so you, Corey, here's your storyline, and the kids just follow you.
Yeah, I don't know if they'd do that, man. Like, that's kind of... I don't know if a lot of people would want to go and do something like that and be alone. You know what I mean? Like, granted, I think it would be cool. I can do it. Like, I'm sure a lot of people can do it, but is that really...
No. You're paying that much money. It's you're the
You wanna be
family
together.
visiting from. Yeah. They'd cater the story around you and your family, no doubt. That's what Disney does. They cater to you.
That's true, man. If you're going to hop into the Falcon at one point, you're going to be like, all right, James on the guns, you know? Like,
Oh man,
Whatever.
yes please.
divvy up the tasks.
But think about this. You're coming to like the end of your adventure, and you're kind of into it, and you're getting stressed about what the result's going to be for you, and then you feel a tug at your shirt. Dad, I gotta pee. Hold it, kid. I can't.
Yeah, that's exactly
That's not what you want, is it?
Of course not. Well, like I
Yeah,
said, it's
I
not
hear
being
ya.
built. Our kids might be quite a bit older by the time we actually get to go. You know, it's not even built for another 2 years, and then, you know, he might actually have your back at a point, or she might actually have your back at a point.
Maybe. Sure, he does.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so Galaxy's Edge, that is opening up in a couple years' time. They didn't commit to an exact date, but I got to imagine that whenever it does open, it's going to be something that helps to launch the hype cycle for Episode 9. Well, do you think this planet, this trading outpost, do you think it's just that's what it is for this attraction? Or do you think it gets a proper name and is introduced into canon, be it through a movie, a book, comic, or even a video game or animated series? Do you think they do that?
Maybe touched upon a bit. Well, one thing I did take out of this is that, you know, for sure in the least, it's after the time period that this place is after Return of the Jedi, for sure.
Oh, it's in Force Awakens period.
It is, eh?
Yeah, you see First Order TIE fighters among the set. You see the Falcon with the squarish dish, which
That's
it could have
it.
gotten right after Jedi.
That's where I took my observation from the square.
But also the description also says that it puts you in a battle in the Resistance versus First Order. So
there you go.
yeah, it's set right in sequel trilogy territory. I think it would be cool if they canonized it. Even if they just referenced it and never actually went there, just to reference it and say, yeah, that whatever that planet is, stick it in there. I think that'd be awesome.
Yeah, why not get it? Especially in even books. Doesn't have to be in a movie, you know, like.
Oh yeah, anywhere. I think a video game would almost be ideal, though. I think that would be the best place for it. Then we will talk about the Last Jedi teaser posters. Do you remember the ones from The Force Awakens? They were pretty nice. It was just close-ups on like Leia and Finn, Rey, Kylo, Han, and there was was there 5 or no? I think there were more. I might be forgetting somebody. Poe must have had one.
Yeah.
And they all had sort of like a weapon covering one side of their face. So the new ones, it's 6 characters. Leia, Rey, Finn, Luke, Kylo Ren, and Poe. And for whatever reason, they're all kind of like washed in red. Whatever they're wearing is sort of saturated red, and their eyes are cropped out. And the visuals are cool. They're cool posters, but why do you think they crop out the eyes? I mean, is it? Do eyes? I mean, eyes are the window into a person's soul, right? So are these? Do the looks on the face or in the eye reveal a character's mood, or disposition that they don't want to reveal.
Well, Kylo's aren't.
Are they? You get to see his face in the picture in the poster.
It's cut like, yeah. See that nasty, pretty scar he's got.
But it's more from behind, right?
Yeah, it's a side profile, but you could still kind of see his eyeball.
Yeah, you see more of his face than anybody's. Still, I mean, there's hair. Yeah, I don't know.
Well,
I think 5 of 6 anyway are cropped.
Could have something to do with about being blind.
It's a strange choice to me. I mean, they're nice, right? But strange choice. And unless they're still playing with that Maz Kanata thing about seeing, what does she say? James, it's one of your favorite things about seeing people's eyes and knowing their character and stuff like that.
Yeah, she tells Finn that she's seen his eyes before. So
yeah, and if you live long enough, you see the same eyes in different people.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely some relevance to eyes in the Star Wars storytelling nowadays.
Well, boys, I just want to warn you and the listeners. If I just disappear, it's not because my kid is sick, which is also a possibility. But man, the storm just picked up like crazy here. The whole house is shaking.
Yeah, it was brutal out here. Well, it's still pretty much pouring. Oh, I love thunder showers, though. They're so cool.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, and I'm paying attention. It's picked up here too. Spooky, man. Spooky times.
Ooh.
Well, we'll preemptively say goodbye then, in case we lose power.
I'll try to get back on, but yeah, if I disappear.
Well, there you go, everybody. There's our explanation. So what do you guys think of the posters? Cool? Kind of blah or what?
I liked them.
I like them too. They're classy. They're cool.
And
that
something
red
about
seems to-
having the heads cut off makes them different. I probably would have found them more
Oh yeah,
bland
yeah,
if they had just been full.
You're right. It gives it that just that extra little mysticism.
Yeah,
A
exactly.
little mystery. The red too.
It makes you talk about them, right? Why the eyes? Why are they gone?
Why the red? The red kind of reminds me a bit of, I guess, the behind the scenes thing, which we'll talk about later. But
Me
like just
too.
Crate.
Yeah, like what's
it
up with
seems
that?
like it's going to be a big theme in this movie almost. Like this. I don't know. How
Well, yeah,
can
red seems to be the color of this movie, and we'll get to that in a little bit when we start breaking down the BTS reel. But I'm okay. We agree on these teaser posters. Cool.
Yeah, they're not the best posters we ever seen, I don't think but there's something artsy. There's something good about them, I like them. They're not.
Yeah, from a conceptual standpoint, I think they're a step up from the character posters for The Force Awakens.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, so Rian Johnson on the title of The Last Jedi and on General Leia. And so we talked about this way back when the title was revealed and we all freaked out. And somebody eventually cornered Rian Johnson, both on Twitter and I think they got a mic in front of his face too. People said, well, "What does it mean? Please tell us." And he just flat out said it's singular. Now he seems to be walking that back, and he's changed his tune. And now he's saying that the title evolves with the movie. And over the course of the films, things change, but he said that it centers around Luke and Rey's relationship, but that for him, it ultimately boils down to the question of what's up with Luke Skywalker. So Corey, what are you thinking here? What's how's this playing out? What is The Last Jedi? Who is The Last Jedi? Has anything changed for you?
A little bit, yeah. Like it gave me the sense that, well, first of all, I just want to say, like, I'm very excited right now. So, like whatever comes out, anyhow. Like it seems to be the beating heart of the film is going to be like centered around the Force. Like the Force is at the heart of the film, which is something that I yearn for. I really, really want that. I want that mystery. Like, I like that he's tackling that subject matter, and it seems that, yeah, we're in for some changes, and I get the title is still a little tricky in all this. Like, how's it going to play out? I have no idea, but I like the fact that he says that it's like a fluid title. It's not necessarily like locked into one meaning. You know what I mean? He's saying that it can take on multiple meanings within the film, which is, again, very interesting, you know, like.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, yeah, I mean, it can be very malleable depending on what goes on in the movie. James, what do you think?
It doesn't change anything for me, but a good title should be, you know, pliable. You should be able to sort of make it fit into more than one box if it's a good title. So that, you know, that doesn't surprise me that it doesn't just mean one thing. But in terms of, does it change what I was thinking, or, you know, what I'm worried about or what I'm hoping for? No, not really.
I don't think anything that came out this weekend would have changed what you're worried about.
No, that's, wow.
Didn't change it for me either. It heightened everything for me.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it.
Yeah, me too. And I have to say, like, on different variables too, like, things have went up and down in different directions for me, you know, like. But I'm definitely excited.
We'll save those specifics for our summary segment. But yeah, I mean, the title does different things, right? The movie could start with Luke as technically the Last Jedi. Rey's not there yet, and then it could come to a point in the movie where they're both Jedi. Somehow, maybe Rey passes a trial, or you know, once you become a Jedi trainee, I guess technically you can be a Jedi. And then by the end, if one or the other, Luke or Rey, are knocked off, then you have the Last Jedi again. So yeah, I mean, it's pliable all the way through, like James said, and it makes sense that it is that way, and it is kind of funny that Rian Johnson's had to walk it back. Maybe not walk it back, but he was so quick to tell us that it was singular in his mind. And now that's changed. So I don't know if things change for him as he edits the movie. But yeah, it's definitely a different answer now than we got a few months back.
It makes me happier. It makes me happier than the last response we got, though.
Just the cut and dry. It's singular.
Yeah, like I was like, But even at that, there's so much room left for speculation that, anyhow, whatever. I like what he said here. It's interesting.
Yeah, and then he had a couple of comments about Leia.
And General Leia? Yeah. I mean, there's always the dyad of Luke and Leia. You've said that her character wraps up nicely. What did you mean by that?
Well, I mean, I guess that sounds a little different. I'll say I think that, I mean, Carrie gives a really beautiful performance in the film, and obviously it's, you know, we obviously didn't make the movie to be her final film, final Star Wars movie. Given that, though, I think there are scenes that she has that are, you know, they're going to mean a lot to people, and there are scenes that we have with her where now not having her around, I watch them and I think I'm just, you know, I'm really thankful that we have that, and then we can give that to people. So yeah, wraps up nicely. I don't know, but is emotionally gives some kind of catharsis. It gives some kind of like emotional satisfaction. I think so. I really hope so. I know for me it does.
So emotionally satisfying scenes with Leia. Considering these are going to be the last times we see Carrie Fisher on film, if we're getting emotionally satisfying scenes out of her, we've got to be getting a Luke and Leia reunion. And I'd say those chances are strong. I mean, he's talking in plural here. That we get a Kylo and Leia reunion. James, what do you think?
Honestly, the way the way that comment reads, I almost feel like we're somehow going to get a Han and Leia reunion. But yes, I agree, and I think if they could give us Han and Leia, they would. But I think we'll get Luke and we'll get Kylo, and that we'll get all of the warm and fuzzy stuff that people are sort of hoping for, and then we'll get mad and complain about afterwards.
Of course, we're never happy.
Don't you think, though, there'll be a lot of complaining?
So if you have...
Was that sorry?
About Leia?
Yeah, well, that no matter which way they go, they're sort of damned.
Well, they are
Oh,
damned.
yeah.
I mean, they had the rug pulled out from under them. They're damned. So you have these two highly satisfying scenes in the movie, and everybody's going to get misty-eyed over Carrie again, understandably so. And then we'll get to the last, or episode 9, excuse me. And I don't want to say anything before we actually see it or hear anything, but if I feel like it's going to be anticlimactic or a little bit hollow in episode 9. If all the big stuff happens in 8.
Yeah, well, I definitely think. I don't definitely think, but the impression I almost got from what he said was like I almost think that she might even be written out in this movie. I know they've said time and time again that this story has not changed and blah blah blah, but there's a way to do it in the sense that when we're going into episode 9, we know that Leia is not going to be a part of it, really.
Well, I don't know. Well, he did say that they didn't write The Last Jedi with it being Carrie's last film. So, I mean, to me, that clearly means she survives episode 8 and was expected to be a part of 9. And now whatever happens to her has to happen off screen between movies, or in the which would appear in the crawl, or very early in episode 9 before we even get a chance to see her.
I don't know, there was something in that interview that he did with Good Morning America that I'm thinking of where, I don't know, maybe it was, I don't know, it was something where he was just basically saying that, like you said, there's an emotional resonance. There's enough emotional resonance in this story to give a fitting farewell to her, kind of.
I mean, I guess I'm going to guess that he knows what Colin Trevorrow's thinking, or what Colin Trevorrow and Derek Connolly have already done. I'm sure that those two guys have bounced a ton of ideas off Rian Johnson. So I'm sure he knows which direction they're pointing. And yeah, I guess he's maybe speaking from with knowledge, right? He's saying that what we've done in 8 is the crescendo for Leia, and they tidy her up in 9. I don't know. It's really hard to say. But yeah, I mean, just to circle back, they're damned if they do and damned if they don't.
Yeah, they're damned.
I've said
That
that
sucks,
time and time again.
obviously.
There's
It's
going
too bad
to
because
be anger over it.
yeah, the
no matter
anger
what
is
they
going to
do-
be misplaced because it's just frustration about something they can't control. Guys, I got to step away for 2 minutes, but I will be back.
Okay.
The worst part about what James just said there was basically that, we're going to have people out there that even though they probably enjoyed what was done with the character, they're going to write these stupid clickbait articles just to get the clicks about this. It's something that's really going to be under the microscope, right? Like Leia, Carrie Fisher, The Last Jedi. Like, it's all going to come to the surface again. It's all going to come bubbling up. And
Oh, absolutely. And people, now more than ever, when people take a stance on something, they never come off it just because their stance is it's out there. It's in blogs. It's all over Twitter. One of the worst things you can call somebody is a flip-flopper. And that's kind of unfair because new information emerges all the time, and you should be allowed to alter your opinion based on new information, new facts. Or just saying, you know what, I was completely misinformed, I'm totally wrong, and I've switched position. But people just, more than ever, people just don't do that. They take a position and never come off it.
not only that, people are just going to exploit the fact that it's going to be easy clickbait stuff because of like the subject matter. But no, I agree with you there also that people, they take that side and they just become super hard-headed about it and they convince themselves of something, and that's just kind of sad, man.
Well, I mean, there's that, and there's also the heat that Colin Trevorrow's taking from a lot of different people and different groups for different reasons, especially in the wake of his movie being completely eviscerated, Book of Henry just being completely trounced, and lately his previous body of work has also been put into the spotlight, and not in a forgiving way. And there are groups of people now that are just bashing him. And so I think no matter what he does, I think those people are going to trash him no matter what. Yeah, I think he's in a really tough spot, which is unfortunate. I mean, he should be. Lucasfilm isn't getting rid of him. If they were going to, they would have. Unless of course, they could, as we've seen in the last month or so. Lucasfilm will pull the trigger if they have to. But it doesn't look like
on his game. That's for sure. Do you know when it's
well,
slated to start?
He's going to get his chance. He's definitely going to get his chance.
When's it
so your question?
When's it slated to start filming? Do you know?
I would say early 2018.
That makes sense.
Maybe late this year. I'm not entirely sure. Focused on 2 other movies first. Yeah. So anyway, that's it from Rian Johnson's comments, which I do like him. I like him a lot. I think he wants to tell us more, I think, and I think he tells as much as he can without sounding too repetitive or too cliched.
Or too mundane, yeah. Of course, you can't give it away, but he's got to try and keep it interesting, I guess.
Yeah, no, he's been. I think he's been more forthcoming than J.J. Abrams ever was, and it was also a different time, right? Guarding the secrecy around The Force Awakens was just a huge priority for Abrams, and he did a great job
for Lucasfilm, for Disney.
Yeah, I find Rian Johnson's been a much more thoughtful guy to this point. Jesus Christ, how eloquent was that?
I don't know, like, yeah, I just I like the guy too. I look at his face and he looks like a good shit. Like, I don't know, he's just got a nice smile. He looks like he's really actually super passionate, super concerned with this story, super involved with this story. Like, this story looks like it's a big part of him, you know, and it looks like he's taking a really bold direction with it, and I'm super pumped about that.
Well, yeah, that's the other thing. Like, people accusing him on Twitter of rehashing Empire. You know, they've seen a few clips. Oh, there's a battle against walkers. You're rehashing Empire. There's a Jedi training montage. You're rehashing Empire. Like, come on.
Well, did they not see The Force Awakens? Like, I mean, these things kind of got to happen. At least the Jedi training part.
Yeah, I mean, there's things that are unavoidable. Things are going to overlap a little bit. Anyway, so I like his answers. Rian Johnson saying that, you know, I didn't spend the last 3 years of my life rehashing Empire. You know, he's put all of his he's put his heart and soul into this movie. So I guess now we can actually talk about what that heart and soul effort has given us so far. So
not only that, like,
synopsis.
You gotta figure, like, how much did he contemplate, like, not comparing it to Empire 2, you know, and just like, oh, I can't do that, it's too similar. Like, he must have busted his head on that so much, of taking just the right smidgen of Empire in this film. You know, I'm sure he has that well under control. Like, I want to see some crossover, you know what I mean? Like, I want to see some throwbacks, but can't be the same movie.
No, and I really, the more we go along, the more I don't think. And yes, there will be some I don't even want to say callbacks. I'll just say some thematic similarities. That's just what happens in part 2, where the good guys usually get put in a bad hole. You know, things will ring similar to each other. That's just storytelling. But we finally have an official synopsis to go on. So I will read that if I could find it. Oh, there it is. So the official synopsis for The Last Jedi. In Lucasfilm's Star Wars The Last Jedi, the Skywalker saga continues as the heroes of The Force Awakens join the galactic legends in an epic adventure that unlocks age-old mysteries of the Force and shocking revelations of the past. So we can just cut right to the chase. It's all about unlocking age-old mysteries of the Force and shocking revelations of the past, isn't it?
Dude, that's huge. That's like mind-blowing almost. Like we've talked about it for a while, but confirmed.
Well, yeah, I tend to agree, but hold on. Are we talking about age-old mysteries that go back to the prequel era, or are we talking about thousands of years? I'm trying to stay away from. Oh yeah, it's what I think it is, and what I want it to be. Or like, does that absolutely mean going way back in time?
I guess now that you bring it up, no. I hadn't really thought about it like that, but no, you're right, man.
But look, they are going to the first Jedi Temple, we believe. And so, I mean, that's kind of a strong indicator that we're going back further than the prequels. Way further, in fact. But I guess until we know more, it's a possibility that they're not. And so, shocking revelations of the past. That's
heavy.
Oh God, that is heavy. Well, I mean that's the left turn, right? That is the fork in the road for Star Wars. I think whatever that means, that's going to be the thing that propels Star Wars into the next era of storytelling, or where a lot of people pull the next stop rope.
Unless it's intertwined with the first part about unlocking age-old mysteries, I more see the age-old mystery part propelling the story further. Like, just because if they unlock some kind of like hidden, some kind of revelation within the Force that, so many people hate on this, or if it's like a binding of the light and the dark, or whatever it is, like, I have no idea, but there's definitely some extremely pertinent information at this Force Temple that's going to probably shock everybody's foundations, kind of. Their whole belief system, I figure, almost.
So do you think Luke is the one that delivers this shocking revelation, or do you think that comes from Snoke or somebody else?
I think it comes from Rey. I think Rey and Luke, they when they finally get together, they figure the last part of it out together. Like you've said it many times before, like Rey is quite possibly the key. Like that's what Luke's been waiting for. Luke has gotten so far in whatever he's had to do there that he just needs Rey he needs someone, whoever it is, this person, I don't want to say chosen one, but this person that he's been waiting there for shows up, and he's finally like, okay, like let's unlock some age-old mysteries now.
Yeah, I still think it's obviously possible that maybe Luke hasn't figured out the answer to the questions he's got yet, and he needs Rey to do that thing like we see in Rebels, where it takes Master and Apprentice to unlock a temple and gain access to it. Or maybe Luke's already been all over the place and he knows the temple inside out. He's seen all the secrets and knows all that he needs to know.
I don't know, like I don't want to get into the sizzle reel yet, but I almost like see Rey, and like it looks like they're gonna be doing some scenes underwater and stuff, and it's almost as if I almost want to believe that she's like deep inside this Jedi Island temple, like.
Yeah. I have no clue, man.
Yeah,
I'm glad. I'm glad I have no
man.
clue this time around, because for both Rogue One and The Force Awakens, I was spoiled rotten. I knew way too much. This time I don't want to know anything other than what's been more or less officially released. And I've already poisoned that well. I already know too much. But I've done a pretty good job of staying away from massive spoilers.
I don't think there has been any really yet.
Oh, there have been.
Really?
Yep, I just I've avoided them, and I'm not talking about them if I can avoid it. I mean, if something really comes up that I think is really cool, well, maybe we'll kick it around and see if we want to talk about it. But for the most part, I'm trying to stay big spoiler free.
But again, when you hear the synopsis statement there, like it says a lot again about Rian Johnson and the direction he's taken with this film, and the endeavor that like he must have put, like you said, 3 years into this, man. And there's some deep, like just that synopsis, there's so much going on there, and it's just so heavy that it's like, wow, man, you put a lot on your shoulders.
Hey, boys, I'm back.
Well, somebody's got to do it. Hey, James. We're just we're slicing up the official synopsis.
Ah, yes, I saw that in the show notes. My baby, the youngest, is screaming his head off upstairs. So I couldn't.
Good.
I tried to extinguish the fire, but eventually had to pass it off to the boss.
That's always the way it is. So, James, did you you read the synopsis?
I actually didn't.
Well, there you go. Would you like me to read it to you again?
Sure.
All right. So, in
It's short and
Lucasfilm
sweet,
Star Wars:
James.
The Last... Oh, Jesus.
Sorry. It's good, though.
Can I go?
And go.
In Lucasfilm Star Wars: God. Is there a way for me to mute him?
If
Just edit
only,
it, man.
If only.
If only. Stop making my life harder with editing.
Okay. I'm sorry.
No, you're not. In Lucasfilm Star Wars: The Last Jedi, the Skywalker saga continues as the heroes of The Force Awakens join the galactic legends in an epic adventure that unlocks age-old mysteries of the Force and shocking revelations of the past. Actually, you know what? That sounds a lot like... Remember we talked a while ago about that Japanese flyer that's had some very similar wording to this? I don't know. Was that in March? Maybe?
Oh,
The
geez.
Japanese what?
There's like a Japanese flyer going around, and somebody had translated it, and it had a lot of this wording.
You're right. I do remember that.
So, James, what do you think?
I mean, I like it. I don't need a lot to get me more pumped up than I am. That trailer that we were building up to talking about certainly. I don't think anything else could get me higher than like behind the scenes footage and that kind of stuff. So, I mean, it's cool. The synopsis sounds awesome, but like it certainly isn't terribly telling.
No.
I'm super huge on, like mysteries and like even of our Earth, like archaeology and all that stuff. So when I hear an adventure that unlocks an age-old mystery of the Force, I'm just like, boom, like yes, like I want that. I don't want to demystify the Force or anything, but I want to understand it on a more deeper level as well. If there's a way of doing that.
Maybe
I get it.
you'll understand it even less.
Yeah, you're right.
Maybe this next layer comes out and your head just goes spinning like a top, and you just don't know you know less than you do now.
Yeah, you just open a door to infinity.
Well, it's opening that door to the next era of storytelling. There's just opening up so many more possibilities. I think that's what they're doing. I mean, I think they were running out of racetrack based on what was already out there. So they needed someone like Rian Johnson, who hopefully is up to the task. Sounds like he is, to kind of install that next bedrock of storytelling. And that's tough to do because you're doing this now without George Lucas, and this is where it gets slippery. That you're taking George Lucas's baby and his idea of, for lack of a better word, organized religion in the galaxy far, far away, and you're adding your own. You're not just adding to it. You might be fundamentally changing it. So you better get it right. It's still gotta feel a bit like Lucas could have done this himself.
That's the thing that always kind of made me so curious about all this is that. He came to them, like, whenever he sold it, right, he gave them his own script for 7, 8, and 9, which they pretty much were like, yeah, no, we're going to go our own direction. And then they just choose to take a direction where they have no idea which direction they're taking. Like, they start with J.J. Abrams, and then they let Rian Johnson do his own thing. He writes his own individual story. Same thing with Colin Trevorrow. It's like you said, there's no, aside from Kathleen Kennedy, there's no, like, head dude that's like, this is the story for like episodes 1, 2, and 3, or 7, 8, 9, right? Like, there's no George Lucas, like you said, that's coordinating the whole thing. It's like each one is an entity unto itself almost.
Well, I think Abrams and Ryan Johnson. I think Abrams is on board as a producer of some kind, at least for definitely for episode 7, and I think he's around for episode 8. But the title of producer, executive producer, is just such a nebulous thing. It means it can be whatever. It just means that. I mean, if Bad Robot is still producing, then there you go.
It's in a contract, like, yeah, just attach my name to the next Star Wars film, but, I still get the title, the pay. I put my money into it, right?
Yeah, but like you said, there's nobody that we know of that's overseeing this whole thing as the central guy.
Which I found
right now,
really...
Ryan Johnson might be the pivot guy, taking the torch from 1 and passing it off to 3, and he seems to be the guy that's been entrusted with, obviously like I've said many times, the fork in the road. Like I think Ryan Johnson's the guy. He's the guy that 10, 20, 30 years from now, we might recognize Ryan Johnson as being the next guy who makes whatever comes next possible. Anything else on the synopsis before we move on to actually covering this behind the scenes reel?
I love it. That's it.
Yeah, I like the synopsis. I don't know if we'll get another one, but this is enough. Everything I've gotten so far has been enough. All right, so the behind the scenes reel, we'll try. I don't know. I don't think I'm going to do every shot, but I'll try and cover a lot of the big ones. If I've missed something and you guys want to talk about something, then by all means, just interject if I skip past something that caught your eye. So we start off with a bunch of quick cuts of locations we've seen, like Actu's in there. Then Daisy's saying, Ryan has written a story that is unexpected but right. And then Mark Hamill echoing the same thing, which I think since the beginning of this movie's production, that's been the message, that this movie is different and is changing things. And that's being reinforced here.
I love that.
I'm excited, and I'm also nervous, and those feelings have been all amped up this week. And I think one of the coolest shots was that exploding red dirt on Crate.
Amazing.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh, there's that red color again, just splattering all over the cameraman, all over the actors there. Just looks so cool.
Looks like they're gonna have some pretty rad speeders. Or like,
yeah, those are Kanto Bite speeders, I believe. I can't see where else those speeders fit in. I don't think. I mean, that shot. I don't know where it's taken, but I don't see that being Ireland or anything like that. So I'm gonna guess that is you know what? I think the third speeder from the right looks like something we've definitely seen already in set photos. I'm pretty sure those are Kanto Bite speeders. And then we see Chewie camping out with the Falcon. Yeah. It's a very sad, lonely shot.
It's
just
such
hanging
a nice
out there
shot.
on his own.
He's got the campfire
Oh, it's
going.
a great shot. There's Corey with campfires again. James, last week Corey, I think, mentioned 3 times on the show about, sitting by the campfire.
Corey's a campfire guy. I can see that.
He loves his campfires.
I bought a pit this weekend, actually. I had a campfire last night at home. It's awesome.
You eaten alive by mosquitoes?
No, man.
Asshole mosquitoes?
No, I was good. I did the whole works, man. I did marshmallows, s'mores, and dogs, man.
Nice.
In that order?
Yeah. Yeah, that's what we did. And we did the marshmallows with the son, had a s'more with him, and probably about 2 hours later, we busted out the dogs.
I gotta say, it's a little weird.
Whatever. Yeah, it was late.
You're the Ryan Johnson of this family, Corey. A little bit weird.
That's all right. You're going to be pleasantly surprised.
Then we see Leia looking rather serious. She's also... That also looks like Crate with that white surface. She looks rather stern there, doesn't she?
Yep.
Yeah, I'll say.
And then we see... Oh, here's something we talked about way back did ads ask us this, or did we come on this on our own? But we wondered whether or not Luke takes the saber from Rey.
Yep. I have that written down.
I don't
here.
remember if you. Do you know? I don't remember what I said. I'm going to try and go back to look it up. Just to
I
see.
said definitely yes.
Well, we're gonna check the tape.
Yeah, do it. It was 3 yeses all around.
And you can see the green tape on his fingers, so they can add his robo hand after. But it seems definitely like he's gonna grab the saber from Rey.
Dude, like, just the look in his face too, he's like, I remember this, baby. I remember when this happened. Ooh, bad times.
Wonder if maybe he was just checking for like the UPC code to make sure it's his, or is it the EAN number if you're in the Europe and the UK. Some cool shots of Dubrovnik, and then we get a couple really cool shots of Kylo Ren, very much reminiscent of Vader going into the Emperor's throne room in Return of the Jedi, and you could see Ren with the cape that looks a lot like Darth Vader's cape. We don't know yet if it's one of Darth Vader's capes or one model just like it, but we definitely know about Kylo Ren, his obsession with his grandfather, so it wouldn't shock me if it was actually a Darth Vader game-worn cape.
Actually, I freeze-phrased some stuff too, and taking a picture and sent you guys. Did you see? It looks like his mask is different too now, eh?
It's a little bit different,
Yeah.
but from what we've read, he's not going to wear the helmet a whole lot in this movie.
As long as he has one,
We're
because that was a question we had as well back in the day. Is he even going to have one now that it got lost or kicked? Well, it looks like he might have found it. Just going back into the collection with that one that's all busted up. That could have been the one where he killed Han.
Yeah, maybe. See, unless he picked it up and took it with him, and then just dropped it in the forest somewhere and picked it up on his way out after getting slashed up. I don't know. It might be a different one. It could be the same one, but apparently he's not going to wear it a whole ton in the movie. And then there's that room, which is believed to be Snoke's throne room, and it's all red again. There's that bloody color again.
That's
that
another
looks like
accidental pun. You're 2 for 2 for tonight.
2? I get that one. Bloody red. Yeah, that's a bad one. What was my first one?
We'll have to rewind the tape, but I laughed. I definitely pointed it out with a laugh.
All right, I'll listen for it in post. Maybe I'll edit it out. But that shot, when we finally see that on the big screen, Snoke's throne room is going to be striking. It is going to be so cool to see.
Yeah,
And then I'm expecting a guy that looks like Goldmember to come out. Then a couple shots of the First Order rampaging through the Resistance hangar. And then one of my favorite shots, Rian Johnson in the lobster sweater.
Yeah.
Mark my words, that sweater is going to become a meme. People are going to talk about that lobster sweater for ages.
Well, they should.
You like that? You like that sweater?
I do.
You know how we make fun of Mark Hamill to this day about his ugly sweaters from the 80s and 90s?
I love that, though. We're not making fun of him. We're laughing with him.
No, he's being made fun of.
I love it.
We tease because we love.
Exactly.
But yeah, watch out. That sweater's going to be a thing. And then we see the Executioner Stormtrooper, who somehow look a lot cooler, like in an actual photo, than what I saw in like concept. And that claw thingy, it's like a staff with 2 claws on it to hold somebody's head or body or torso before they get executed or get killed. That looks pretty brutal, man. There's a pair of them there. Maybe this is like a mass execution. I don't know what this is about, but the First Order is a pretty terrifying thing.
No holds barred.
Actually, now that I'm looking at them, there's a couple of... with the two troopers, and I'll come back to it after, if I remember. I've got a new theory. And then we get a frontal look, a good look at the Falthier, the big space horse that we were all freaking out about. This thing is adorable.
Really cool.
Yeah, very cool. Even just that like that space fox that they had like underneath this, like, I don't know, the animatronics behind it. Like, I'm really looking forward to that they have some. They're gonna have a good mix of, again, animatronics and visual effects with the computer generated effects.
Yeah, the animals in this, as we see, holy moly, man, I can't wait to see these animals on the screen. Like, I really don't. I'm not a huge creature guy when it comes to Star Wars. This movie's going to change that. I already know that. The space horse, the porgs, I'm all over these things.
Yeah, the porgs look so cool. I have to say it. Like, they look so, I don't know, they just look so happy and sad at the same time. They're just so cute.
And then one of my favorite shots from this this clip is seeing the little tiny croupier. Is it a croupier or a croupier? How do we say this?
I think you had it right the first time. Yeah.
Croupier. All right. The little tiny, 1 foot, 9 inch tall, 1 foot tall croupier.
They look like Meebar Gaskin.
Well, that's what me and Candace thought. We were doing side by sides, going, it's not him, but could it be the same species?
I would think so. I think so. That'd be cool.
No, Pablo shot it down.
Oh, Pablo, come on, man.
Not the same species. It's got to be a closely related species. Come on. But he said not the same. It's amazing to me that they already know this. But look at him. He's amazing. He's his little croupier tuxedo. He's going to be like, awesome. They're going to make life size of this guy in merchandising, aren't they?
Merchandising.
I'm gonna if they make if they make a full size of this guy, I am owning him. He's too cool. Look at look at his little
full size
croupier
is
rake.
Gonna be full size would be what, between 6 and 12 inches?
Yeah, I see him as like 9 inches or so. He's just the best. Look at him. Look at that little croupier rake. It's the best. We get another look at Leia with Laura Dern's character. And I don't know if this is like the two of them like Laura Dern talking to Carrie Fisher, or if it's Holdo talking to Leia. Because the way I understood the relationship was a confrontational one. And it doesn't appear that way here.
She's going to turn on Leia.
You think she's a turncoat?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
I think so. I think I heard her say something about like her character is not what everybody thinks or something like that, you know?
Yeah, it's possible. She could be that double agent Lando type from Empire. Then a couple shots of Poe and Chewie in cockpits of some mystery ships. I don't know what these are, man. It's easy to say Chewie's in the Falcon, which he might be. But what is Poe in? Is that those skimmer speeder things?
No, I think it looks like well, we don't know the timeline in the movie, but we always kind of figured that, like, you know, Poe was still not fully recuperated while by the time they're trying to escape that rebel base. But we don't know if that happens at the beginning of the film or the end of the film, right?
We're talking about Poe, not Finn.
Oh, sorry.
Did I say Finn?
No.
No, this is your bad. You screwed up.
Yeah.
No, you said Poe. You said Poe.
Yeah, okay, good. I haven't totally lost it yet.
But you see, it looks like his X-Wing gets his black X-Wing anyhow gets pretty. It looks like it's done for.
Yeah, we saw that in the teaser from Celebration, and it looks doubly blown up again in this behind the scenes footage. So Poe's gonna have to find a new ride. Now, I don't know if this is it, but that doesn't look like the A-Wing. It's definitely not an X-Wing. And the only ship that we know of that's in the movie that we don't know very well is that little skimmer speeder thing that we see in the trailers picking up red dirt. So I guess it's that. And what else we have? We finally see Kylo with Corey's favorite scar. Look at that, Corey.
Yeah, I saw how pretty it was. It was It's real pretty, really aesthetically pleasing. It was something.
I heard he had to
This
get
is
a
gonna
new
be-
helmet to match his scar, so it would be aesthetically pleasing, Corey.
Oh, that's nice. I looked at it
That's
too.
amazing.
I had to have a good look at that. I freeze framed it and everything. You know, I paused it, had a good look. I was like, "Ooh, that's pretty nice." Okay, I like it. Started at the neck. Yeah, that's the way it happened. Right across his face. Yep. Oh, whoa. No, swerved right up.
The magical moving scar.
Yeah, but I like how they started it nice and low, and you know, there's enough tissue damage on the cheek. I like that, but yeah, no.
Well, that's some again, Bacta does works wonders, but that's some pretty good healing job considering what state he was in at the end of The Force Awakens. Like Daisy really gashed him. And if this movie takes place soon after, that's a great heal job.
Yeah, you'd almost have to think that the Force was at work there because something happened. I saw it. You saw it. We all saw it.
This is going to be the hill Corey dies on. Why did you move the scar?
Oh, we know why. Because it's more pretty.
Then we get a cool look at Luke, who's finally changed his robes. He's in his darker getup that we heard about way back when. It's not quite as refined as I thought it would be. I thought he'd be more stately. I don't know why I thought that, but no, this is just his darker Jedi robes, and
I like them.
Oh yeah, I like them too.
I
They
like
look-
that. Like, look at James would get a kick out of this. Like, one of the observations I made in regards to that was, you know, Luke's got his, you know, those big cumbersome robes, and it almost looks like Rey's cape or hood and cowl, whatever you want to call it. It almost looks like it was given to her by the elves. Looks very light, limber, not as cumbersome.
I hadn't noticed it that way before, but I like where your head's at. Luke
Well,
does.
I mean that's the rage, right? You're when you materials now for whatever tracksuits and or workout clothes, it's everything's got to be moisture wicking.
Yeah, it's all
Maybe
Gore-Tex
he's
all the
got,
way.
yeah, maybe that's what he's got now. He's got the upgrade. Maybe there's like a Sport X or an Atmosphere or
Well, not Luke.
Sport
but
Check.
Ray looks that way. Like, Ray just be like,
Well, they probably shop at the same place. I'm sure they're getting this moisture wicking stuff somewhere.
oh, I see it more like Luke being like, well, this is the way of the Jedi. And Ray would be like, well, this is the way I'm comfy, so.
Ha, comfy. That's not a Jedi word.
Whatever.
And then we finally see Finn coming out of his back to healing pod.
It almost looked at one point that Finn was in a flight suit. Like a yellowish flight suit.
Yeah, I think that's coming a bit later down the chain here. There's a shot of what looks like Poe sliding into the trench on Crate. I can't see that being anybody else. And we get our first look at DJ, who has something on his head.
It was a short one. It was a short one.
Yeah, you got one quick semi-obstructed view of DJ. And I don't know if that's in his ship or if that's in a jail cell on Canto Bight, if that's where he's being held. Again, cool, I guess. I'm happy to not know anything about this guy until the movie comes out. I wonder if any of the big reveals center around this guy, or if he's just a renegade.
I like to think that he's going to be a renegade bounty. He's going to be the bounty. He's going to be like the Boba Fett of this film in a way, but someone who actually talks and has a meaningful role.
And hopefully who isn't very incompetent.
He'll be a mixture of Boba Fett and Lando. Take the role of those two.
Well, okay, that's a big role to take on, but all right, sure.
Well, just those, like, you know, like can sell them out and save them at the same time.
And then we see a shot where I can only imagine that this is Rose's sister in the turret or whatever you call these things, of one of the resistance ships. I imagine that's got to be, I think her name was Paige Tico, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know what her fate's going to be in this movie, but cool.
See, I didn't even know she had a sister.
Well, now you do. Spoilers.
Thanks, bro.
Now here's where we get a really interesting shot. Kylo Ren's battling somebody with a long staff, and there's another dude off in the distance. What the hell's going on here? I thought Kylo was only going to go at it with Luke and or Rey. What's going on, Corey?
Why can't it be Rey? Rey seems pretty adept at fighting with her staff. Like at
I
a
think
point,
this guy could just be simply standing in for Rey.
Yeah, they wouldn't show that on a sizzle reel right yet. Like just yet, they're holding off on stuff like that. But he's practicing, he's training.
You're so right. They would never. Yeah, they've never put those two together.
And same thing with at one point you see Daisy Ridley. At one point we know for a fact at this point that she'll be fighting off two people at the same time.
Three. There's three there.
There is three, eh? I thought 3, and I looked at it a couple times, and I went back to 2. But either way, yeah, they're just like boom, and she's taking on a whole group of people, at one point, and that will happen.
Yep. So yeah, I'm going with your story, Corey. That this person is standing in for Rey.
I mean, she seems pretty. The only thing I almost started thinking dual-sided lightsaber, but then I drew back because the stance of her hands was too far apart, right? Like the saber, your hands would need to be in the middle, whereas the stance was very wide with the bow staff or whatever we want to call it. So I don't know. It just reminds me of the staff that she continually carries around with her.
Yeah, I thought we'd be done with that staff in this movie, but no, she was in a couple of shots with it. The other possibility is we start to see Kylo's turn to the light, and he's fighting against the Knights of Ren, or Snoke's like Praetorian guards, those guys in those fancy red suits. Now apparently those guys are going to carry like long weapons like that. So either Kylo is turning and is fighting those guys, trying to get to Snoke, or maybe it's we see some of Kylo's training, and this is just Kylo practicing against the Praetorian guards.
I'll say Adam Driver, but I was gonna say Kylo, but that one shot too, it again in training, either way, it looked like he was on point with his saber fighting. It looks solid. He looks solid.
Yeah, he looks pretty ripped too.
Yeah, eh?
Look at those shoulders.
Yeah.
I guess that's what you expect from a former Marine, right? And a shot of probably the coolest speeder ever. You see Hux in that First Order speeder, which is what I'm guessing it is? It looks like an old 30s hot rod. Like a hot-rodded Cadillac. This thing is smoking. I can't wait to see this thing as a toy.
I was just going to say, Kyle's getting the toy.
Yeah.
Maybe even the model. Maybe I'll build that model.
It's all kinds, man. There's going to be so many cool things that come out of this movie, like for toys and stuff like that.
Oh, this movie is going to have so much merchandising to it. Oh my god. I mean, not that The Force Awakens or Rogue One didn't, but I think this thing is going to blow up with merchandising. So then we finally get that cool shot of Rey taking on 3-4 different people. And just, she looks like she's kind of having fun. Which I hope she is. But, boy, Rey against the Knights of Ren?
That would be my guess.
Or, again, Rey against the Praetorian Guards.
Yeah, fighting alongside Kylo. Ooh.
Boy, this is going to be... Man, I have no idea what's going to happen here. Interesting, though. Nothing with Luke. And then behold, the Porgs.
Yeah,
These things
look so cool.
These things are the best. I mean, come on. Aren't these the cutest looking creatures ever? They look like little gumdrops with eyes and wings.
That's a good way of putting it. I mean, you know what I almost had a thought of just before the show? Like we've heard that there's going to be like some kind of creature on Act 2 at one point. Like, I'm almost starting to think that the porgs have something to do with that creature, you know? Like, maybe the porgs are like gremlins.
Yeah, maybe. Well, I've heard the porgs have a bit of an ornery side to them. Yeah, they're cute and they look very cuddly, but apparently they can be grumpy as well. Which I hope they are. I think the grumpier and nastier they get, the more I'll like them. But did you see the teeth in them?
No.
Oh, man. Take another look. They got a mouthful of teeth.
Yeah, give me a sec.
Oh, I didn't mean to do it now, or are you actually leaving?
No, he's gone.
He's gone. Here you go. Then we see Finn looking like it's possibly behind bars. And then Finn and Rose in First Order disguise. Now, I'll go back to what I was saying before about the execution of stormtroopers being 2 of them. I wonder if Finn and Rose get found out. And their ruse is up. And they're sentenced to execution. And that's why we see these 2 execution guards. That Rose and Finn are about to bite it. And somebody's going to swoop in to save them. Maybe DJ? I don't know.
Yeah.
And then there's this really cool shot of a Resistance pilot falling through what looks like to me like a giant rack of bombs.
Yeah, and sort of scary to think about whatever they're dropping those on, because there's a lot of them racked there.
I want to say, like, who do you guys think that is?
I think it's just a random.
Really, eh?
Looks like Ezra.
I almost thought Holdo.
My guess is the ship gets rocked by an explosion of gunfire or something like that, and he falls over a rail, and down he goes through the bomb rack.
I don't know. It looked like well, maybe it's just because they slow-moed it for that, but it looked like a pretty pertinent moment in The Matrix.
We're not talking about The Matrix.
I know. It looked like The Matrix, that shot to me. It looked like all those pods in it, you know?
Yeah. Explosions. Finn and Rey dancing on Crate. So there's another thing we talked about way back when. Are Finn and Rey going to have a reunion in this movie? Seems like the answer is yes. I know that I was a no on that.
I remember I said yes for sure.
Good call. It seems like that's a foregone conclusion here. And we see.
I can't remember what I said, but I probably would have said something more like toward the end of the movie. I think my answer was Rey. It's kind of like Empire Strikes Back, where Rey has to go help him. Like,
well,
my
remember
friends
there
are
was,
in
there
danger,
was,
you know.
I think the first indicator that Rey and Finn would get back together at some point in the movie was we saw a leaked Lego picture of the heavy assault walker, which we know is going to be used in battle on Crate. And Rey, the Rey figure was a part of that set. And most people were like, why? And sometimes, like Lego sets, they just have a throw-in character that wasn't part of the movie, but so what? Now you have this character.
You know what that leads me to start believing is that this whole battle could be toward the end of the movie. Then, once everybody's reunited, it's like the Empire knows, everybody knows where the Resistance is. The First Order knows they're there now. Like all the cards are out there. Like Luke's back, Rey's back.
Yeah. Maybe this movie plays in reverse of Empire. But we're also going to get seemingly a space battle in this movie too. This movie's going to have it all. It's going to have lightsaber battles. It's going to have a ground battle with walkers. It's going to have seemingly space battle. Another in atmosphere battle. We saw the Falcon flying in atmosphere. I'm going to guess that it was also Crate.
Well, I'll guarantee you guys both something 100%, 200%, and I'll guarantee every listener as well that this will surely be the sequel of sequels of sequels of all sequels. That's for sure.
What does that guarantee mean?
What does that even mean?
Dude, this is the 3rd sequel in this saga, and you'll never see another. Like, you're never going to see that again in your lifetime, so for sure this is going to be the best sequel of sequels of sequels.
Wow.
Did
come
Corey
on.
just rename the show Sequel of Sequels?
Probably.
It's the sequel of sequels of sequels, and that's what I had written originally.
Oh God, I'm not doing that. I'm not naming the show Sequel of Sequel of Sequels. Not doing
Of
it.
all sequels.
Nope, not doing it.
It's too long, huh?
Yeah, a little bit.
It's good though, but it's true if you think about it.
Nope, it's true if you think about it.
Okay, let me ask you this then: do you think you're gonna see a better sequel of a sequel of a sequel of a sequel?
Well, why don't you walk us through your logic? I don't understand where you sequel of a sequel of a sequel.
Well, we got Empire was a sequel.
Okay.
Then you got Attack of the Clones. And now this is the third kind of sequel in this trilogy. So a sequel of a sequel of a sequel, and of all sequels.
But technically, it being episode 8 is the 7th sequel.
What?
I can follow Kyle's logic.
Like, episode 2 is the sequel to episode 1, 3 is the sequel to episode 2, and on and on and on until episode 8 is the sequel to episode 7.
Yeah, I don't like that. That doesn't work for me.
That's because it makes sense. I know you wouldn't like that.
But I'm talking about the sequel in a trilogy.
Like the second part?
Yes. Ding, ding, ding.
It's the... Yeah, no, that was super messy, dude. Oh my God. It's the third middle chapter.
Yes.
Wow, let's put this thing back on the rails. So, okay, there we go. That was the behind the scenes sizzle reel. What do you guys think?
I loved it.
Yep.
I had to watch it. I watched it exactly 8 times in honor of episode 8. And I'm definitely going to watch it probably about another 100 more. But definitely gave me goosebumps the first. I watched it back to back right off the bat. I was like, I have to do this. Oh my God.
James, what do you think?
Yeah, it got me pumped. At first, I balked for like 10 seconds thinking maybe I wouldn't watch it. Maybe I've seen too much already. But like, in for a penny, in for a pound. I watched that thing in January, so now I'm pot committed. So yeah, it was awesome. I got super pumped up. The Leia footage made me a bit sad. Sort of pulled me out of the moment a little bit.
Yeah, at the end.
Yeah, her voice too. Yeah.
Do we need to practice this? Like, do we need to get our more Leia stuff out of our system now so that we can be somewhat clear-headed going into
maybe I do,
December?
Yeah.
Dude, I think we're all going to be sobbing when we leave that theater in December.
Probably for more than one reason.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, I'm so excited. I'm so excited.
I'm surprised you didn't touch upon any of this. Like, it seems like we're going to have a lot of like stuff going on in the water here, and I would like to think that's all happening on Act 2. Which is pretty interesting. We see Daisy Ridley like diving into looks like a cavern. Rian Johnson was filming in that cavern, which is really cool. It looks like they're in the deepest, darkest recesses of like Jedi history.
Yeah, that will be a cool sequence for sure. Yeah, I skipped over that one. Sorry about that. But you could have interjected, so I blame you. But I can't process. Like, I'm still having trouble processing all this awesome stuff in this clip. Like, I loved every single... There's nothing in it that I was like, ooh, that doesn't look very cool to me. Everything, every part of it. The animals, the aliens, the people, the costumes, ships, sets, everything looked bang on. I love it. Like, are you guys still uncomfortable with where it may be going? I guess it didn't reveal anything that would change, so I guess... In that respect, feelings would be unchanged, but yeah, I guess we need to remember that Empire upset the apple cart at the time, and eventually became, I guess, what is maybe the king of Star Wars films years later. So maybe this movie will be the same.
This sizzle reel or behind the scenes, paired with the synopsis, it really, like, it lets a lot of fandom know that they were kind of following the right direction. Like, they were leading us down that path. And yes, they are kind of, seems like they're going down that path.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like,
I mean,
I like the age-old mystery thing. Big on that. Shocking revelations of the past that are going to rock the foundations of Star Wars. It's the only way kind of to really shake things up and move things forward, right?
well, yeah, I mean, like I said earlier, like I think they were running out of racetrack based on what they had to work with. So you have to kind of plow a new field here, clear a new forest, and I think that's what this movie's going to do. And I mean, much like Empire, that left a lot of people going, that was weird. I think maybe, quite possibly, this movie will probably do the same, where you might leave the theater going, the hell was that? What's happened here? And then over time, we might go, oh, god damn, this movie's genius.
For sure. I think the more we talk about this film once we see it, we're going to be like, you said exactly, we're going to have so many more questions. Like, even Hamill was just like, every time I think I have it, I never could have imagined what he did with this story-wise. Daisy Ridley said, oh my god, like, there's so many oh my god moments that it's its own thing, and there's so many things that are unexpected but right. It really says that this movie is gonna have I'm almost scared in the sense that it's upping my expectations almost too much for what it's gonna really drop onto us and where it's gonna take it. Because if it just takes it in, like, if we're just like, oh, that's it, I'm like, oh, I guess, okay, I guess I see that. But I really feel like they're going to give us the good 1, 2, 3 man combo. Like, you're not going to see what's coming.
Well, yeah, I mean, with one director doing one movie and then passing it on to somebody else, they want to just put their best foot forward. So Rian Johnson, I think, is doing that, or at least I think he's trying to. I think he's honestly trying to do that. And I think he wants to leave, like, it's in the middle part, you want to leave people, in the viewers and the characters, like, clinging and wanting more. And I think we're going to just end and we're just going to go, what? No, it can't be over. I think, based on what I've seen and heard, and considering that this movie's supposed to be taking a big left turn and changing rules and whatnot, I think we're either looking at it like a top 3 Star Wars movie or a bottom feeder. And I'm hoping, and I think it's more of the top 3 than bottom 3. But I guess we'll find out. Shocking reveals and
3.
The opposite of what's expected. I don't think there's any room for this movie to be, oh yeah, this is my 4th and 5th favorite out of 8 movies. I don't know that you can do that if a movie is trying to do this, like, bring changing rules and shocking reveals and this and that. I think it could be too polarizing for it to sit in the middle somewhere. James, am I crazy, or is it going to be one or the other?
Totally agree. It's going to be polarizing, which will put it top or bottom for some people. And it's what makes me nervous about the sizzle reel, the behind the scenes. It's this talk of changing it and making it right. Well, who says it was wrong? Like, I don't know. That's the part that makes me a bit nervous. So, I mean, hopefully everybody's pleased with how he weaves his tapestry. But right now, I got to be honest, that's the part of the sizzle reel when I watch, I go, oh, and my defenses go up a little bit.
Yeah, it's like almost like a blind date, right? Where you're like, I'm going, I've heard good things, but I know these things could blow up in my face and I'll hate it. Like, it could be the best thing ever. Like you said, like, what was wrong with it? There was nothing wrong with it. But I think, like I said, if they're trying to build themselves new mythology to work from so they could do more stories in the future, there wasn't much left, I think, to mine from with Lucas's stuff. So I think they have to add more bedrock to that foundation. And it might fit, it might be off-putting, I don't know, but
I'm going to go ahead and disagree with you on that, Kyle. I think that Lucas set up what made Lucas's trilogy great was not how the Force worked. It was, a great family story, and you could tell that story. You could tell great family stories over and over again, given the rough outline, given the rough framework that Lucas created. I'm not saying changing it won't make it good also, but you could have told story after story without changing Lucas's galaxy, in my opinion.
Well, like
I suppose you're right.
The only thing they'd really be changing is our vision of the Force. And I understand your trepidation in that sense, James, but what it is this whatever this new mythology that they choose to latch onto, it has to explain why and how the Jedi went wrong. If they just say, okay, this is the new Jedi, then I'm on the same page as you. That's kind of lame. But, if they can get into the heart and the details of things, say like, okay, this is where they kind of went wrong. This is what happened. This is why. And this is where we need to go because of said facts, then, I'm down with that. Like, that's what I want to see, kind of. I want to see them, like, blow our mind in that regard,
Yep, same page there, buddy.
But I understand your trepidation 100% if it just gloss over that and be like, no, this is the way it was, and no explanation, no nothing. Like, there has to be an explanation as to where things went wrong, or how the Jedi had it somewhat wrong, or where they deviated from the original course.
Well, yes, I agree with you. But what does Star Wars do? It tells a story, especially now in 2017, it tells a story, with multiple touch points. Like, I don't think they're going to give you every answer about how and why the Jedi went wrong in Episode 8. They might even tell you more in Episode 9. But guess what? You're probably going to have to read a book or 3. You're probably going to have to read some comics and do this and that if you really want to find out the whole story, which is annoying. It's great for people like us that have no problem giving all our money to these guys. But for people who just want to get the full story from the movie, you may not get that.
Well, we've talked about that before. Like, the moviegoer should get that whole sense of conclusion, not having to read books and stuff.
Yeah, they should not rely on books and comics and video games and animated series to complete the picture. The movies have to stand on their own. And I'm being optimistic. Usually I'm cynic. This time I'm being optimistic. I like what's happening here. It's passing the sniff test. Any disappointments? Time. Any disappointments from D23? Things that you were also expecting that you didn't get, or what you got perfect and you're happy?
Go for it, James.
Well, I wasn't expecting, but Han Solo something would have been cool. I mean, we knew we weren't going to get it, but it would have been cool to get it anyway.
I think, yeah. I mean, that was everybody's secondary thing. What about Han Solo? But I think with what's gone on in the last month, I think they just decided, you know what? Everybody knows how tumultuous it's been. So if you try and throw like Ron Howard waving and smiling at the camera and pretending everything's okay, and maybe it is okay. Woody said it is, so I'm going to go with Woody. But like everybody knows, like the kind of the dirty laundry is out there. So just go do your work, stay in the shadows, do your thing. I don't know. I would have liked to have seen an image from the set, like Alden Ehrenreich dressed as Han Solo. Or even Ron Howard saying, "Hey, everybody, sorry we couldn't be at D23, but we're putting a good movie here together for you." Something like that would have been nice. But I think everybody would have been like, "Yeah, okay, look, we know your house is on fire. Just deal with that first." What about?
Is it too soon for a joke? Like if Ron Howard would have popped up and been like, "Hey guys, just going through the footage," and like with a pair of scissors and like a lighter.
Yeah, it's not their style.
Too soon.
Well,
but I like
something like a little video he put out on his Twitter that I didn't see.
Yeah, where he
it,
chucked his lunch or whatever.
Yeah, he threw it his lunch or something like that and made some kind of like taking out the trash joke. Like, oh boy,
yeah.
that's okay. A little pointed, but I get you.
But
what about?
I like what you guys say. Like everybody knows. Like it's too soon. Like it's gonna feel it's almost gonna feel prompted by the fan. Like it's almost gonna feel like needy. So they're gonna get this thing once they get it back on the rails and it's on their time and it's convenient for them and they have fandom back in their control. That's when they'll release it. But I think, like you guys said, everybody knows it's tumultuous, whatnot. So they just said we're gonna hold back and not seem like we're in desperation mode, wanting to feed the fans.
Yeah, I mean, in a strange way, this lets them maintain control of the narrative. Like, we'll do this when we're ready. What about no announcement for the new standalone? Remember, they said they would in June they would decide, and maybe we figured they would announce it for sure at D23 or San Diego. That seems like it's off the table now. I personally think that ship sailed when the wheels fell off Han Solo. And I think they would open themselves up to, like, what are you announcing more standalones for when you can't handle the ones you have? So I think they've just put new standalones right on the back burner for a while.
Yep, I agree.
I agree 100% there. Like, regardless, we know they're still slated for those years. But talking about them at this point, like Kyle just said, like, it's again a sense like everybody knows, like get your stuff together. Like they're getting their stuff together, and once they're ready to announce something, they'll do it. But I was a little disappointed in that one. Again, like you had said, Kyle, the whole thing. Yes, we'll decide in June, but again, that doesn't necessarily mean we're gonna announce in July, right?
Nope.
We have so many eggs to count before, like. Anyhow,
well, that was the thing. People went nuts. If they're going to decide in June, they're going to tell us. They're absolutely going to tell us in July at D23 or at San Diego. And nope, that's not happening. It's over. So I don't even know when the next opportunity to do that would be.
Well, fandom kind of built me up in a way where I'm like, I was kind of almost expecting it at this point. Like, we had talked about it for so long, but then all these things with Han Solo happened that it kind of changed things a bit. But I was really somewhat expecting it. I'm not, again, that disappointed. Like, I really wanted to hear this confirmation, but again, we have so much Star Wars on our plates looking forward right now that I'm okay. I can wait a bit longer. That being said, Kyle, at this point, I don't see another standalone. A standalone would not be announced between now and The Last Jedi, I would think. Nothing's going to take media attention away from that at this point. If it wasn't at D23, it's definitely not at San Diego Comic-Con. Like, they don't even have, like, a panel going on there.
Nope.
So
nope, I don't think it's happening. We might have to wait till next year for. God, I don't even know what's happening. I don't even know what's on top next year. There's no D23 next year.
Surprised? Yes. Disappointed? A little, not really.
Oh, there you go. All right, that took a while, but now we can slip into the back nine of the show, and we can do our binary sunset with ads, Bradley, and a special appearance by Carlos. So let's take a quick break, and we'll come back and hear from those great gents.
Hello chaps, a couple of quick questions for you to kick around with this week. So the first one is an 18 rated Star Wars film. So I'm not necessarily advocating a 50 Shades of Jedi, but do you think that they might in the future do a Star Wars standalone film that is 18 rated? And if so, how and what could it be about? And then for my second question, a while back, I think I raised the hypothetical situation that suddenly, out of the blue, it's announced that a Star Wars film is hitting the cinemas in 7 days' time. Now, rather than that scenario, how about a situation where we know there's a Star Wars film coming, it's the usual period of time up to that film, but we hear nothing. There's no trailers, there's nothing announced, there's no shots from the film released, no footage or tweets from the film set, nothing like that at all. We have no idea what the film's going to be like. We don't even get a poster. What do you think? A complete blackout. Everybody goes into that cinema on the opening night without a Scooby about what it's going to be. In real life, practically impossible, but just imagine. Right, chaps, that's me done. Have a great show. I look forward to listening, and I will catch you all next week. Take care. Bye.
There goes ads. Thank you, sir, for another great question this week. So, Corey, do you think they'll ever do an 18-plus Star Wars film?
I honestly, no. I don't think they'll do it. I don't know. I just don't think they have the courage. Not the courage. There's not enough mass market appeal for them. It's a Disney company now. So, I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, it's too off-brand. Then again, Marvel is also a Disney company, and look what they're doing with Punisher and Daredevil and on and on and on. So I don't want to say never, but I think Star Wars is different in that, George Lucas's vision is that it appeals to everybody, and he's always made it a point to say that this is for kids. And I think as long as George is alive, anyway, anything with the Star Wars logo on it is going to appeal to kids on some level. So I don't think they'll ever do an 18-plus thing. But if they did,
Revenge of the Sith was what in the States?
I think it was PG-13 or maybe just PG. What did you think it was?
I thought it was 13, or just because of the last scene. I thought I remember hearing something that it got like upgraded or something.
I think it was just PG, man. I think it was maybe going to be PG-13 at one point, but yeah, no, it's just rated PG. Which first, of course, in Quebec is rated all ages. We're just very liberal here. But just for a minute, if they did do it, I think that's something I'll say they'll never do an 18-plus Star Wars film. I will go that far, but 18-plus Star Wars content, I think is possible for a place like Netflix. And I think taking a character like Boba Fett, if you're not going to do a standalone movie with Boba Fett in it, an 18-plus Boba Fett series could be something that they do. Maybe imagine a Hondo 18-plus.
Ooh, that'd be...
Just go to the greasiest, raunchiest parts of the galaxy and have some fun. That would be crazy.
Well, I still did my homework in regards to the question, like thinking of genres of movies, but taking it into a Netflix theme, like I've always wanted it to take that underworld approach, I don't want a light breezy, we have the animations, and even those are quite heavy, and granted they should be, but if we're going to take it like 18 plus, the only things that I really came to mind, I guess one would be a galactic gangster mob movie involving the Fets, or even a Tales from Jabba's Palace movie. I don't think it happens again. That's more suited toward TV, I would think, but definitely could be rated R.
I wonder if they could back the truck up a little bit and do like an 18-plus super graphic, something to do with the Mandalorians. Like going way back.
I see where you're going there. I kind of see where you're going there, and I took it in that same vein too, in the sense that I chose an 18 plus can be a Knights of Ren story. You can almost I almost see that almost being horror.
Yeah, because you don't have to tie it so tightly into the main narrative. Like, of course, it would link in and it would build onto the canon, but you could take those group of people and detach them enough from the main story that they could survive and have a season of their own, or a feature film on Netflix of their own. It could happen, I suppose. I don't see it happening. I'll put the chances very, very low. But never say never.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I tried looking in the regards of like what would be 18 plus. What kind of films would take that vein? And we kind of already had our war movie, which was Rogue One, and it wasn't. So gangsters that can get pretty ultra violent. The Knights of Ren too. Those guys seem like probably be your worst nightmare had you encountered them.
Yeah, and if we've learned anything about filmmaking with Star Wars, is that it's got to be Star Wars. I mean, if they couldn't deal with Lord and Miller humor, if that was too off the mark for them, then imagine what they would do with 18 plus humor, if such a thing technically exists. It just wouldn't happen.
So not on screen anyhow.
No. But all these things, like all these different permutations of Star Wars, I want to see them. But boy, it's a case of be careful what you wish for, because if it's done, even if it's done right, it would still, it could still fit really badly with everything else. And maybe you compartmentalize it and you just take out, the aspects of the story that apply to the rest of the Star Wars timeline. But there's some potential for some real awkward stuff if it's not done right.
Well, I think the best route to take it down, like I've said this before, that if they were going to do a TV thing, I would love to see them do just individual stories throughout the galaxy of different characters. Each story is unto itself, Netflix shows are about an hour long. Like, each one is almost like a movie unto itself. Like, you get to see the whole galaxy in a whole different light, and you get to meet all these crazy new characters, and there wouldn't need to be some kind of like string to hold them all together. It just, each episode is completely different and almost a completely different genre if you want.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, like I said, I'd love to see all this stuff, but it's gotta be right. And even if it is right, maybe it still doesn't fit, because Star Wars has become like a genre unto itself, and it is what we've come to know and love over the past 40 years. Like that, Star Wars is Star Wars is Star Wars, and you can't mess with it. Or,
I know what you mean.
Or they don't want to mess with it. They clearly don't want to mess with it.
I'm pretty much on that page, I guess. Like, take it a bit outside the box, but keep it real, man.
It's like I said, it's a really fine line to walk. And we had our Twitter chat going with our podcast pals going. We're saying Star Wars has to appeal to kids, but it's got to appeal to grown-ups too, and it's got to appeal to people who are in it for nostalgia, because people are in it for nostalgia. If Star Wars now doesn't make them think of Star Wars from the 70s and 80s, those people will bash it. But yet it's also got to be progressive and move forward. Those are 4 really difficult boxes to tick at the same time. Really difficult. And so I don't know, if you say I want to do some 18 plus content, it probably doesn't tick any of those boxes. Maybe it ticks one of them.
I hear what you're saying.
All right, so Ad's second question, and James would have given his opinion, but he's on dad duty, understandably so. It's been a tough night at the O'Flaherty household. Okay, so question 2. So let's assume that Lucasfilm has managed to hide production of a Star Wars film. Or actually, you know what? They told us it was coming, but nothing slipped. It was a black hole where nothing escaped. So let your imagination run with this one, Corey. What would your hype level be? What would your nerves be like when you're, in the week leading up to it, when you still don't know what's on the other end?
Come on, they'd be fever pitch. It'd be insane. And I really like the idea. Granted, again, I just don't think they're going to do it, but we're going to pretend like they are. But I really don't think they ever will. Let's just put it this way.
Crossed that bridge. They couldn't and they wouldn't. And yeah, there's just no way. There's no way they could keep that a secret.
But if they did, I would love it. Like, the prime example is my son. Like, my son, when he was born, we still didn't know if it was a boy or a girl. So I love those kind of surprises. Like, we'd be going crazy. But the one thing I'd have to say about that is that we'd be so, like, anxious and to wanting to know what the story's going to be about that the storyline, the film itself, better be out of this world. It's got to be like the story of a lifetime for them to be able to guard it that close to the chest and want to guard it that close to the chest and get the hype surrounding it like to such a fever pitch. Then, it's got to be the story of stories, kind of,
Yeah, but didn't Blair Witch do this to a certain extent? Where, I should probably not talk about Blair Witch. I don't remember enough about it anymore. But wasn't there something going on there where there wasn't a whole lot of marketing other than word of mouth?
Well, I know it was a very kind of, yeah, they hyped it up that way. It was a very low budget project. And a lot of people did believe it was almost real at first.
Yeah, but something viral happened with that movie, and Star Wars being sort of the box office king right now. How much buzz? Like, what would that kind of movie open to? Like, would it still have like a $200 million opening weekend? Like, would that many people show up simply because it's Star Wars without any of the marketing? Like, does word of mouth and just unbridled fan hype replace, like a $150 million marketing campaign? Does that happen?
I think so. Yes, I think it's almost like a result of what their action in action, kind of. Like, you're gonna get all the news sites and stuff like that scooping it up, like, oh, this next Star Wars movie is gonna be dropping, like, and it's gonna be all over the news probably, like all the time. They're gonna be talking. Like, I don't think anyone will be able to kind of escape it with the clickbait sites and even news again. Like I don't think they'll get.
If it was a really airtight production, like genuinely airtight, where nobody knew a damn thing and nothing had escaped, like media sites would run out of like some things to talk about. All they could say just over and over is, "What could it be about? What could it be about?" And after that, they just start like mindless speculating.
No, you're right, but at least it's getting out there and people know that there's one coming. And maybe I don't think it would do as well. You're right. I don't think it would do as well as a regular saga film or even like a standalone, just because the marketing is not so much there. But yeah.
Yeah, no, I think there's enough Star Wars fans and enough insane ones like us that you could make the movie a profitable one after one weekend, especially if they're not doing any marketing for it. But what happens after that? Like,
well, maybe once the film drops.
No, let's assume that they just never market the movie.
Well, then,
which
yeah,
is kind of a strange thing to assume, but hey, this is a completely fictitious scenario, so.
Again, that won't happen, but yeah, of course it's going to have an effect, a big effect.
Yeah, I think it would have a monstrous effect. Like, the movie would still gross hundreds of millions, but I'd say, assuming it's still a good movie, it probably does like $500 million now instead of being a lock for $1 billion.
And it's not like they just drop a movie out of nowhere. Like, we know it's coming. We just don't know what, right?
Yeah, but like nothing from Lucasfilm has emerged. So all you get is just crazy fanboys and fangirls on Twitter and Facebook just speaking nonsense because we're so excited and we're just, about to have strokes. But we literally don't know what we're talking about. We just know that a movie's coming. And it could end up being a terrible movie.
No, I like the surprise factor. I think it'd be a really interesting social experiment. But if they're ever going to go that route, again, they got to have like the best script ever. But again, it's Lucasfilm, owned by Disney. There's no way they'll ever do that.
No, I mean, if that happens, that like the movie landscape would have to have completely changed, and you and I won't be here to see it. So yeah, maybe one day it will happen, but we'll either be so old that we won't notice or care, or we'll just be gone entirely. Like the year will be it'll be the year 2100, and the movie industry is completely changed, and movies drop all the time and you don't even know it. Who knows? Ads, thank you again, sir. Can't wait to hear what you have for us next week. And we'll move into Bradley's question. And so Bradley this week says, "Hello, guys." And oh, by the way, Bradley, you have a lovely singing voice, my friend. I don't know if we mentioned that before, but that was just terrific stuff.
Yeah, like he's Chewbacca.
Hello, guys. Bradley here this week. God, I'm starting to lose it now. Hello, guys. Bradley here with this week's Star Wars questions. Does it bother you when a scene that appears in a movie trailer doesn't show up in the actual movie? If so, is it because you feel misled or deceived? Personally, this doesn't bother me, especially when it comes to the Star Wars movies. The way I see it, we're getting more Star Wars without actually seeing what's in the movie, but still getting the feel of the movie. So I think he's got another question after that. Yeah, let's start there. What do you think, Corey?
I like the way he put it there. It's very a positive view on things, and I have to say I agree with him in the sense that it is misleading, but I like it. Like, it gives you the feel of the film still, and then after we get to talk about it, like, oh, it wasn't in there, like, and we can even speculate before the films now with the new trailers moving forward, like, yeah, like, it doesn't really bother me all that much either. Like, I kind of like it.
It used to bother me, but now it doesn't. Like, you touched on it. Like, the job of a trailer is not to tell you the story. It shouldn't tell you the story. And sometimes they do, and that's when things bother me. But the job of a trailer is to build anticipation for the movie. And shots and voiceovers that were cut from The Force Awakens and Rogue One, they still pumped up the hype meter. And gave us a vibe for the movie and all the people and places that were within. But something like Maz talking about what did she say? I think there was a couple of TV spots where she said things about eyes that weren't in the movie, and there was that shot of her handing the Ray saber to Leia. That was completely cut from the movie. But it did tell us that this was a character that was connected to Luke and powerful enough or important enough of a personality to get face-to-face time with Leia. So it still gives you the context of the movie, but doesn't spoil anything for you. And so, I've almost gone from like, well, it's been a while since it bothered me. Like, it hasn't bothered me in this new era of Star Wars. It's been years, but like, I almost encourage it now. Like, don't mislead vis-a-vis the tone of the movie. But go ahead. Like, shoot shots specific for the trailer. Just as long as the tone and context is right.
No, I get you there. Like, don't, like, I kind of have this in my notes. Like, unless someone dies or is sliced across the face and you change the position of their scar, you know, like nothing. Don't change anything. Like, you can't do something like that in a trailer. Like, they wouldn't do that in a trailer anyhow, but like, you know what I mean? Like, something super pertinent to the storyline. Don't do that so much, but I'm okay with it, and I attribute it due to Star Wars. Like, especially with Rogue One, there was so much stuff, and I didn't really care in the long run. I was like, okay, cool, like whatever. It gave me the vibe that I needed for that film, and I was totally fine with that.
Yeah, exactly. Rogue One's famous for it now, right? Like, they had the shot of the TIE fighter rising up to meet Jin. And like, oh my god, look at this shot. Like, Jin's screwed. Who's piloting that TIE fighter? How'd she get out of this? There was
even the beach party poster where it's like first or Empire versus the Rogue One crew, you know?
Yeah. I mean, but they all still give you a sense of what's coming, right? Like, remember the shot of Krennic walking on the beach? And you saw his nice flowing cape over the bodies, and as he strides across the beach. Like, it gives you a sense of the character, right? Like, here's a war zone, but here's Mr. Vanity in his nice pristine white suit, kind of holding himself above war. You know what I mean? Like, you got the taste of that character. You know, there's other shots like the rebels running across the beach as AT-ATs fired at them. Stormtroopers in the water. All that stuff was gone. But we still went into the movie knowing exactly what to expect. You know what's a good way to think about the trailers and these individual shots? Like, I'm gonna think of them now going forward as like comic book covers. And because often what's on the cover doesn't happen in the book, but it's just supposed to give you sort of an idea of what's to come once you flip open the cover.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it, especially back in the 90s or early 80s or late 80s.
There we go. Okay, so Bradley's second question. When it comes to The Last Jedi teaser, odds are one of these scenes will not make it into the movie. What scene do you think will not make it? My money is on the panning panoramic shot of Rey training while Luke looks on. Thank you for reading my questions, and may the Force be with you always. Cheers, Bradley Hall. Thank you, Bradley. That is at Bradley W. Hall on Twitter. Give him a follow. He's a good guy, that Bradley. We like him here.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, Corey, what do you think is going to get cut? Like, we don't have a ton of footage from The Last Jedi, but I agree with Bradley. Something that we've already seen is going to get cut. What do you think it's going to be?
Oh, I 100% agree with you there. Like, now I had to watch the trailer again. I 100% agree with Bradley, like, in his decision that the shot we see there, I can't see it really working into the film. It almost feels too much of like a Rocky montage. Like, what that shot, that panoramic shot, from what I feel it's almost like it could have been better suited for the behind the scenes thing. Like, I don't know. I don't see it fitting in the film, but if I had to put myself out there and say that there was another one, I could possibly say it's that moment where Rey's hand hits the ground, you know, with how the trailer starts.
Yep.
With the whole breathe, you know.
Yep, that's a candidate. That's on my list.
Cool.
I think, and I guess these all kind of focus on Rey to an extent, but I'm looking at, you know, the shot of her running by the water with her lightsaber ignited. Looks like maybe she's charging into battle or something. I'm gonna say that scene is gonna get cut.
Really? No way. I think
Why
that
not?
scene's on. Well, just because we saw it in the trailer and now the behind the scenes.
You could probably say that for both The Force Awakens and Rogue One.
I just think it's too beautiful a shot to pass up. The way they did it, you know, they had it's an expensive shot with the track and all that. The follower running.
Lots of beautiful shots got cut from Rogue One. Lots of them.
I agree. Yeah, I agree with you, but I don't know. I will definitely disagree with you.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know what else could get cut at this point. It's so early in the game. I could even see it's time for the Jedi to end to get cut. I think that could be a line specifically made to make us freak out. I would not be shocked if that wasn't in the movie.
No, I agree with you.
All right, well, again, James, I'm sure would love to give his opinion. Maybe you can hit him up on Twitter later in the week. Thanks, Bradley. Appreciate it, buddy. And we will wrap things up with the Carlos machine. With the release of the sizzle reel at D23. This is a fresh question, by the way. I have a few questions having nothing to do with it. We're 5 months away from episode 8 with a new crawl to dissect. In my opinion, episode 3 has the weakest crawl of all, followed by episode 6. The strongest is Empire by far, probably because it was the strongest movie with the best script. My favorite, however, is A New Hope, made so by Rogue One. Such a beautiful tie-in. So a couple questions here. Which opening crawl is your favorite from the first 7 episodes? Which is your least favorite? And number 3, finally, does Obi-Wan have a drinking problem? Thanks for everything. Your friend, Dr. Carlos Candido, PhD. All right, Corey, so have at it. Which opening crawl is your favorite?
Kind of a toss-up, I guess, between... you know what? I'll make a solid answer. I'm not going to loophole it. I'm going to go Force Awakens.
It's a very solid crawl.
It really is. You know, it's so ambiguous. It's like, oh my God, what's going on? There's mystery again. They're searching for Luke. Like I cared about reading that crawl a lot.
Yeah, no, that was a very strong one. And it hits you right on the nose, right off the hop. Luke Skywalker has vanished.
Yeah.
You know, it's the one thing that you probably didn't want to hear. My favorite crawl is perhaps boringly, A New Hope or Empire. And just like Carlos said, A New Hope's crawl is made so much better by Rogue One. So in that case, I'm going to give the nod to Empire, because that stands on its own and doesn't really need anything else other than seeing A New Hope before it. But the only thing I don't like about the Empire crawl is that it says a group of freedom fighters led by Luke Skywalker has established a new secret base on the remote ice world of Hoth. Now, unless we find out that Luke himself led the rebels to Hoth, I find that line a bit of an overreach, because General Riken and Leia both outrank Luke. So
there's all kinds of people who outrank Luke.
That's what I mean. So it makes it sound like Luke is leading the rebellion there, but he's not. I mean, he's a commander, which is a nice rank to have. I wouldn't complain to be a commander. But he's not leading the rebels. Like, and again, unless they show us in the comics that Luke, or the upcoming Luke novel, that Luke is the guy that discovered Hoth and led the rebels there, then that line works. But otherwise, I think it's a bit of a stretch.
I always got the impression that the rebellion kind of latched themselves onto Luke. Like, in no way do I see him leading the rebellion, but the fact that they figured that, oh wow, like this we got this kid that blew up the Death Star that is super force sensitive, like we got to go all in on this kid, you know?
Yeah, I think they put a lot of eggs in the basket with Luke.
But again, I don't see it from a leader standpoint. It's like you said, like unless he found the base or whatever, which is very plausible.
Well,
it is a reach.
The way it works, I mean, in my mind, the reason why the paragraph flows is because the next paragraph discusses how Vader is obsessed with finding Luke Skywalker. So I think it would have been clunky if you had said, like, the rebels led by Princess Leia has found found a new base on the ice planet of Hoth, and then go into Luke. Like, I think it gets maybe a bit disjointed, having Luke be the the through line, the common denominator for both of those paragraphs makes it flow a bit easier. But again, I'm probably looking too deeply, and in the end, it's not that big a deal. But boy, the prequels, I went back and just looked over the crawls again, and I knew they were never super strong, but man, they're just not good. They're really
bad,
not
bro.
good.
I reread them as well. Like it had been a while since I just read all 7, and we're on the same page, Kyle. TFA number 1, Empire number 2, because both have a lot of substance. A New Hope does get better with Rogue One, but it shouldn't, like you said, it shouldn't need that. But man, oh god, all 3 of them are just bad. Like no substance, totally anticlimactic. Oh boy.
Well, they're just supposed to set up the story. I'm not looking for a climax or something super deep in the crawl. It's just littered with language about taxation of trade routes and stuff about senates and votes. It's not meaningless stuff. It's important to the story. And I'm not saying the story sucks or using this as an opportunity to attack the prequels. But man, the crawls just don't sound good. Leading into a movie, into an event, like I remember reading the crawls when we went to see the prequels, and I'm like, like I just felt sterilized right off the hop.
I 100% agree with you. Again, they're anticlimactic. Like again, there shouldn't be anything huge, no reveals or anything. But look at the Force Awakens. There was some mystery there. There was something going on. Like you said, trade routes and taxation and diplomacy and politics. It's like really, like, could we get to the Force and the Chosen One?
Like I'm happy. Excuse me. I like the politics in Star Wars. I find it interesting. I don't know that they were handled particularly well, but I find them really endlessly fascinating. But as far as just the 88 to or whatever words are average in these crawls, holy moly, they were just so clunky.
You can get rid of it in one sentence, like, galactic turmoil, like they say, 2 factions, but then start getting into the meteor stuff,
Well, there was no meteor stuff at that point. The Jedi were still, at least as far as the Phantom Menace goes, we're not introduced to the Jedi, so there's nothing meaty. There's no, the prophecy of the Chosen One is still yet to be revealed. They're not going to talk about that in the crawl.
Well, they talked about it in the Phantom Menace.
Well, later on, but that's 2/3 of the way through the movie. That was never going to appear. The crawls
parts 2 and 3
just lead you right into the movie.
Parts 2 and 3 had a lot. What they took for granted and what they wanted to save, I guess, for these new viewers at the time is, they can't spoil anything, so they can't really say, like, Palpatine is Sidious, or...
No, of course not. You can't do that at all.
Most, I would say 75% of fans at the time knew.
Yeah, but you still have to play that straight up. You're not going to start jerking around with the formula at that point just because...
But they should have still talked more about Sidious, about how the dark side was looming and this and that, but it was all like, oh, taxation and blah, blah, blah. Like, I was like, seriously?
I just think there was maybe another way to write that. Because people,
there was
imagine,
a lot more going
being
on.
Like a 9-year-old sitting in the crowd and you're reading about taxes. Like your eyes would glaze over. And I know there's a lot of prequel apologists that, actually, I'll just broaden that to Star Wars apologists who, like, the franchise never makes a misstep. It doesn't matter what they do. No, it makes sense because this and that. Like, if you're 9 years old and you're sitting back there and you read taxation, like your eyes glaze over and you delete what you just read and said, fine, I'm not going to read these words. Like, I didn't start reading the crawls and absorbing them probably until my teens. I didn't care about them at first because I'm like, just get to the movie, please. Now they're important to me. Revenge of the Sith has this doozy. There are heroes on both sides. Evil is everywhere. Blech.
Yeah,
That was
pretty bad.
That's garbage. And now that it's 2017, it makes more sense. We knew at the time that the Republic would eventually become the Empire and that the Chancellor would become the Emperor. But at that point in 2005, there was nobody that I can think of on the Separatist side that could have been defined as a hero. You had to watch the Clone Wars to get a vague idea of what that line could mean. And maybe George had that in mind the whole time. But still, like, if you, at the time, you're like, what? Heroes on both sides? Who? Who's on the Separatist side that's a hero? And I get that there's a lot of things happening in the galaxy, things that we don't see, but don't tell us about that if you're not going to show it. It makes no sense. Or the propaganda book now. Like that, reading that will paint a clearer picture of that opening crawl. And even Rogue One goes a little bit step further, saying that Cassian Andor, like him and his family were on the Separatist side during the war. But, it shouldn't be this way. The crawl, as written, should make sense at the time. And the three prequel ones just, either they make little sense or they're badly written.
Well, they just lack resonance. Like, there's nothing substantial there that you want to hook your train to. You're just like, okay, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, the last line of The Phantom Menace, the Chancellor has secretly dispatched 2 Jedi Knights, the guardians of peace and justice in the galaxies, to settle the conflict. Okay, that's fine, but maybe too little too late after all the taxes. Attack of the Clones, what do they have here? The mysterious Count Dooku. Okay, it's a bit on the nose with the mysterious, but that's fine. Talking about the creating an army of the Republic. Okay, now we're talking about the clone army. That's pretty cool. But again, more stuff about senates and votes and oh god, don't need it. And then, like I said, Revenge of the Sith, heroes on both sides, puke. But again, it ends pretty well. Like, it's not all bad. 2 Jedi Knights lead a desperate mission to rescue the captive Chancellor, and it leads you right into the movie. I don't know, like, again, I'm not trying to bash the prequels. I think they're fine movies, but I don't know if it was a thing where George wrote them and he didn't run them by anybody for any feedback, or if, again, it was just a bunch of yes men going, every word of this is perfect, don't change anything.
Yeah, like, I get the impression that we could have got a more general sense of the grander scheme of things, even though, like, what's there is there, but there could have been a lot more said in fewer words.
Well, like, we went through the task of writing a crawl for episode 8, and it's not easy, but we also, I think we did admirable jobs. We'll see what the actual crawl is. I'm not saying ours are in any way.
Are you gonna bring them up? Are you gonna dig them up?
No.
Come on, you gotta.
No. That's way more work than I have time for. You've already made me do like a half dozen edits in this show already. Yeah, I don't need to do any more. So
not this show. Like, before the show, the movie comes out.
Yeah. I guess when we get the actual crawl, we'll revisit and see if we were at all close. Yeah, there you go. My favorite is Empire. My least favorite, I would have to say, man, I'm going to say Phantom Menace is my least favorite. And that's not to say I don't like the movie, because I've been liking the movie more and more over the years. But that crawl is dreadful.
No, I have to agree with you there. My number 1's TFA, number 2 Empire. My worst is The Phantom Menace, and I think that's my favorite of the prequels. and followed closely by Attack of the Clones.
Actually, you know what? I'm changing my answer. My least favorite is Attack of the Clones. It's my least favorite Star Wars movie and my least favorite crawl. Now I'm just looking at it. No way. That does not get a pass for me. All right, so I don't want to end the show critical of Star Wars after the week we've had. It's been a great week. I've had a lot of fun here, kicking around stuff from D23, but Carlos wants to know if Obi-Wan has a drinking problem. What do you think, Corey?
I don't know. We talked about it before, and I can't remember what I said. But I'm going to have to go ahead and say no. But I can see where Carlos is coming from there. Like, he could get all... by the time we see him, he still looks pretty, he looks pretty crazy, but nothing that bad for a guy that's been in the desert for like 15 years. It could have been a lot worse. But I definitely don't think he hit the bottle.
Do we see Obi-Wan and Anakin drink in the Clone Wars? I have this weird thing kicking around in my head about Obi-Wan and Anakin drinking in the Clone Wars. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, no, I don't think he has a drinking problem. I think he just enjoys drinking. I think that's what Obi-Wan does. He seemed very happy. He seemed all too happy to go get himself a drink in Attack of the Clones. Where are you going, Master? For a drink. Like, duh. And again, in A New Hope, what does he do? He leads everybody to the cantina.
That's it. That's what I was going to say. The cantina is kind of like...
Did you have to go to the cantina, Ben?
Well, yeah, to find a pilot, he did. He knew the lay of the land, kind of, but I see where you're going there.
In Revenge of the Sith, after they rescue the Chancellor, they crash the ship on Coruscant, and Anakin's trying to go to Obi-Wan. Come with me. Let's go talk to the politicians. No. You go do it. It's your day in the sun. You know Obi-Wan just wanted to go get a drink somewhere.
He's like, leave me alone.
If not, get completely smashed. I know maybe he was thinking or saying I don't know if he said it or not, but he's going to go make a report to the Jedi Council. I don't believe him. I think he was going off to a pub somewhere to get wrecked. You think a Jedi... It's harder to get a Jedi drunk?
No, it'd probably be easier.
You think?
Yeah, if they focused. Kind of the same way, like, I've seen a few hypnotists. Granted, I'm still, like, skeptical on that thing, but they always said it's the people that are strong of mind that are able to be hypnotized because they can focus hard, right?
I guess. Anyway, no, I don't think Obi-Wan has a drinking problem. I just think he enjoys any type of drink. I don't think he's discriminate that way. I think he'll drink anything you put in front of him.
Yeah, I don't know. I think he's got a control of it though. Like living in that desert.
Well, if they do a standalone, they need to show Obi-Wan drinking a whole lot of booze. Like
I do like that.
Living alone up on that hill. He's got a stash.
That is a little irresponsible though, no?
What, babysitting somebody? What, like Luke? Or like a cousin or something, and then getting drunk?
Exactly.
When you're supposed to be watching them?
That's it. You busted my chops about it a couple of weeks ago, so...
Oh, man, that's amazing. Well, there you go, Carlos. I hope those are good answers to your questions. And James, I guess, is really neck deep. So he won't be able to answer your questions here, but hit him up on Twitter, or we'll catch up when we go have some fine smoked meat coming up real soon. Oh, boy. All right, that's it. Thanks, everybody, for listening to episode 84 of the Tumbling Saber podcast. And thank you, Ads, Bradley, and Carlos for the great questions again this week.
Yeah, ABC.
The ABCs were done. The Star Wars ABCs, the Binary Sunset is done. We're out of here. So, Corey, where can people find you on Twitter?
At the end of the alphabet, at Chop Rules with a Z.
Nicely done. James is at Tommy Bombadil 1. I'm sure you all follow him, but if you don't, if this is your first show and you're looking to get in touch with us, you can follow James at Tommy Bombadil 1. And I am at Tumbling Saber on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Come check us out. And don't forget to check out StarWarsCommonwealth.com for all the great podcasts in this network. And fill up your playlist with some really good stuff done by good people. And if you're looking to help us out, if you want to just kick us an iTunes review, that'll gain us some exposure for the show, and we would be forever indebted to you. And stay tuned later this week to roll you into the weekend. We will have another side-splitting edition of Sith Disturbers. So enjoy your week. Don't work too hard, and we'll catch you then.
Self-redeeming qualities, have they hindered me? Hindering, was I blind to see that you needed me? All of me, well, you were there for me. I will be there too, watching, listening, every moment, wanting all of you. And I believe I can save you, just don't let me go. And I can see I'll be waiting, always waiting, just don't let me go. Just don't let me go. Time goes on and I'm questioning all the things I've seen, crazy things I've seen as I'm watching you. I'm watching you walking away from me.